Welcome back to another edition of Saturday Night Tech Fights. I am your man Mike, aka the Don King of Tech, ladies and gentlemen, and I have got a great show for you all tonight. I got a doubleheader this weekend. We have an undercard battle featuring the mighty Tech Rant versus the silent assassin Vrsatile, and after that we have a heavyweight battle of LeBarron Burton, the default champ after Viper gave him the belt back, versus the savage Total Tech. So I'm gonna bring my judges in first. I got some special guest judges this evening. So first, I got the one and only Mr. J. Will. Y'all know Mr. 100,000. How you doing, Mr. J?
What's going on, man?
All right, and then I got my man Travis MCP in the building. What's going on, Travis?
What's going down? What's going down? How are we doing this?
We are doing good. We are doing good. All right, so let's go ahead and bring in the first contender. So y'all have seen him on the fight before. He has a rematch after the Pixel 4 comes out against LeBarron. I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. He is my man, Tech Rant. Tech Rant, your mic is muted.
Yo.
All right, there you go. All right. Oh, and then I got my third judge. So we're going to have the chat and my third judge. So I got my third judge, my man Wallace, the Titan of Tech, a.k.a.
everybody.
Suge Knight of Tech. And lastly, we have the challenger against Tech Rant. Now, this guy's been wanting to be on the show for a while, and he finally got his opportunity. He said he wanted to shut someone down. He wanted all the smoke. So I gave him a chance. He's been silent for the last week and a half. So let's see what he's got going on tonight. The silent assassin, Mr. Vrsatile, is here. And he is nowhere to be found. Oh, there he is. Oh, my God.
Oh, Lord.
Right, some points for showboating. Some points for showboating.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All
Let's
right.
get it.
That's a nice loser dance right there.
Hey, don't worry. Don't worry. I got your bucket list meal when you enter that castle. There you go.
Yeah.
This dude just wacky enough to might be able to pull it off. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. We're
know.
gonna see what happens. We're gonna see what happens. All right. So this fight will be the first fight of the night. So as you guys already know, but for those that don't, I'm gonna run by the rules again, just so everybody's aware of them. So we have 5 rounds. Each round is 10 minutes apiece. Each contender gets 5 minutes to debate their topic or their side of the topic. Tonight's topic for the first fight is going to be somewhat of a simple one, but it might be controversial depending on how you look at it. Let me hide that and edit it because I don't want to be out here looking like I didn't go to school. All right. So the first round, our first fight of the night is going to be based off of, does a camera define your channel? So what this is going to entail is I'm going to ask questions along the lines of, have smartphones caught up to DSLRs? Should you use a camcorder or a DSLR for a channel? And lastly, I might ask the question of, would you use a smartphone or a DSLR to run your channel? And as you guys know, each opponent will pick a stance on the argument and they will argue it, and the other person will have to argue that stance back. 5 minutes apiece. The judges will, at the end of the round, tally up who they picked as the winner, and we will go from there once we count it. Once we count it up, at the end of the fight, whoever has the most points towards their name is the winner. We do have a knockout rule for those that are not aware of the knockout rule, and the knockout rule is very simple. If, for example, Tech Rant gives an argument in 5 minutes, and the judges, after Vrsatile gives his argument, go all 3 with Tech Rant, Vrsatile, you will be given another 5 minutes to try to beat his argument. If you cannot, then it is considered a total knockout, and the fight will be over with, whether it's the first round or the 5th round, and we will go ahead and move on to the next fight. So with that being said, does anybody have any questions before we get started?
I got one real quick as a judge, since I have to judge this stuff. I'm guessing, and I think it needs to be clear, that we are only taking the information on the argument from what they're saying, not from our own knowledge, because that was something that was a big deal last time. We need to not fill in the blanks for them. So I'm only going to take information they gave, not what I think about it.
Exactly. Okay. Yes, because all of you guys are in the tech space. Although the Titan of Tech does not have a channel, he is very active in the tech space. But Jay and Travis, you guys, your reputation speaks for itself. So with that being said, you take your opinion out of it. So it's going to be based off of what they say. So it's their job to convince you of their side of the argument. So, all right. With that said, let's get into it.
Second.
Yes, sir.
One question.
Go ahead.
Is DSLR interchangeable with mirrorless?
Yes.
Okay.
Essentially, I just put DSLR because that's what most folks know, but it is
Okay,
essentially a camera versus a smartphone.
Okay.
All right. So, first battle, ladies and gentlemen, does a camera define your phone? Let's go ahead and get right into round one. Round one is going to be, have smartphones caught up to DSLRs? So, seeing as both of you don't have a belt to your name at the moment, I'm going to go ahead and let Vrsatile go first, since he is the one that initiated the challenge. So I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock. You have to choose the stance of if they have not or if they have caught up. So let me know what you're going to do, and I'll get the clock started.
All right. I say they have caught up.
Okay. You got 5 minutes, and your time starts now.
All righty. Well, I would say that smartphones have caught up with DSLRs and cameras simply from a quality perspective. Sometimes we watch videos, and we can even use Jay Williams videos as an example. Sometimes you can't honestly tell the difference between a camera and a smartphone until somebody says it. So just from a quality perspective, I would say smartphones have caught up to DSLRs. When we think of price, smartphones likewise have caught up, and the smartphone, of course, has multiple functionalities. And now the camera quality of smartphones, whether it's an Apple or Android, has caught up to DSLRs. It really does give DSLRs or cameras a run for their money. When we think about the access that we have to then upload, if it's a straight upload from the smartphone to whatever platform we need to, we have that access with the smartphone in terms of the content that we shoot with. We have, as opposed to a DSLR, where you can't always or barely ever upload camera content straight to a platform. You have to remove it first. So just having that ability to have it on local storage with the smartphones and then be able to straight upload it wherever you want to, the smartphone has that advantage over DSLRs as well. I would also say that picture quality, when you think of the Google Pixel line, you think of Huawei, hopefully with the new Apple 11 Pro, 11 and 11 Pro series, we think of camera quality. Smartphones have caught up, and you can barely tell the difference between a smartphone and a camera. If we think of MKBHD's blind camera test, for example, the Poco Phone F1 won the contest. That phone cost, what was it, $400? So when you think of a phone that at that price and the quality that it holds against a Samsung, a Google, or an Apple, maybe if you actually compare them head to head, and one of the latter phones would beat out the Poco phone. But just from that perspective, when you think of what people see when it comes to smartphones, it's hard to tell the difference between a smartphone and a DSLR or a camera. And then audio. Smartphones likewise have the capability of being able to use external audio, whether it's a lav mic, whether it's a studio mic, depending on whether it's USB-C or if you can use an adapter. There are phones that allow you that access to that capability to use external audio into the smartphone to be able to then record your content. And so when you think about that, and just in terms of the onboard audio from smartphones, sometimes, or I would say a lot of times, they sound better than the onboard audio that come out of cameras. And so when you group all those things together, the smartphones truly have caught up to DSLRs or cameras.
Okay. So you have about a minute and a half or about a minute and 50 seconds on the clock. So I'm going to let you end it there. And I'm going to give Tech Rant his 5 minutes. So Tech Rant, your stance is that they have not caught up, and your 5 minutes will start now.
Yes, my stance is that smartphones have not caught up to DSLRs or mirrorless cameras. First off, we can talk about image quality. Image quality, DSLRs and mirrorless cameras absolutely blow away smartphones in terms of quality. Absolutely blow them away. You can sit any cell phone against any DSLR or mirrorless camera, and you look at those two side by side, you can tell the difference. If you zoom into pictures, you can tell the difference. If you take the video and you put it on a TV, you can take the difference. The other thing is that smartphones have not caught up to any DSLR or mirrorless camera in terms of low light performance. If you take a smartphone and you put it in a low light situation against a DSLR a DSLR will beat it 10 times out of 10, straight up. The noise performance on smartphones are horrible. And the simple fact that smartphones are less manual than DSLRs, and they really can't handle exposure as well as DSLRs can. And so that's getting a little bit too far out there for some people about cameras, but it's just the truth. You can do way more with a DSLR, the more reliable, the more durable. You don't have to worry about the little nuances of you getting a text message or you getting a phone call in the middle while you're shooting, messing up your flow. Your DSLR is a separate entity. It's a separate thing, and you can do way more with it. You can push it way more with the image and the editing software. I personally believe that smartphones do have their place, but they are completely not on the same level as a DSLR or a smartphone. Now, when some people look at these videos and they're like, oh, you really can't tell the difference. A lot of videos include higher quality footage that was shot on a cinema camera, on a DSLR, on a mirrorless, and you will see a very small amount of smartphone footage. So the average person is already looking at a really clean image. So when they see those couple of seconds of a smartphone image, they're not really thinking about it long enough. But if you sit those two things side by side, you can clearly tell the difference. And with DSLRs, you have way more things you can do. What is the one thing that a lot of us complain about right now? Smartphones are killing off the headphone jack. There are so many smartphones that do not have a headphone jack that you cannot plug a mic into. And some smartphones are actually going backwards because you don't even have pro mode on smartphones. And so you really can't control much with a smartphone as you can control with a DSLR. I'll give my props to people who do create content with smartphones, but to me, there is no comparison when you say, well, I can't say no comparison, but there is absolutely no way I can say that a smartphone has caught up to a DSLR in terms of quality, reliability, and everything else.
Okay. All right. So with that said, you left 1 minute and 45 seconds on the clock. So what that means is that I'm going to add that together, and that's going to give us about 3.5 minutes altogether. So I'm going to give you guys these 3.5 minutes to kind of just go back and forth amongst each other.
Real quick before they do that, and that's cool. Can you reword the question as you asked it at the beginning? Because that's really making a big difference to me. What exactly is the question? Okay. Have they caught up to DSLR?
Yes. Have smartphones caught up to DSLRs? So you guys got 3.5 minutes, and you guys got it now.
All right. So to your point about low light, when it comes to picture quality, we see phones taking chances or catching up to cameras like the recent iPhone 11 series and the Pixel series with night sight, and OnePlus has nightscape, and Huawei has a night mode that enhances picture quality when it comes to low light. And so when you think of catching up to DSLRs, that's one of the biggest steps cameras can take or have taken to catch up to DSLRs. And like you said, when it comes to the difference between the endurance of cameras versus a smartphone, you can put a case on a smartphone and take it with you anywhere you want to go and be able to still shoot footage and feel more comfortable shooting with a smartphone, regardless of what environment or circumstances you're in, as opposed to a camera that may weigh more, that's a little bigger, a little bulkier. And when you think of trying to add protection to it, it just adds more weight to it. So just in terms of portability, smartphones have also taken a bigger step in catching up to DSLRs, where you may prefer to take your smartphone over your camera to shoot in whatever situation that may pose to you.
So I'll say this. DSLRs are image first. They are video first. You clearly have a mirrorless camera that you use to shoot your content, do you not?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So you are shooting your content with a mirrorless or a DSLR camera. I would think that if smartphones have caught up enough to where they're good enough as a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, technically you should be shooting all of your content on a phone.
That's a good point.
That's what I'm pointing out there. And the other part is quality. Now, you can get away with taking a picture with a cell phone, but as soon as you blow it up, and you put it next to a DSLR image, there is no comparison. Most people are looking at images that are on Twitter, they're on Instagram. These images have been squashed down and compiled, and basically they've been knocked out. Okay, like the resolution is gone. But when you take those two things side by side, you take a raw photo from a phone and a raw photo from a DSLR, no comparison. You take a raw video from a DSLR and a phone, no comparison. And then, like I said, with the low light performance, I guarantee you, go try and shoot something at night with a phone and shoot something at night with a DSLR. You will see noise all day because that phone has to push the shutter speed because the sensor is not big enough to handle all of that. It can do enough with software and computations and all that stuff, but it's not on the same level. It has not fully caught up to a DSLR. Right. It is convenient, but it has not fully caught up, and it cannot replace it.
Well, right. And to the question, it says that they caught up or not, are they better? So to the question, smartphones have caught up to DSLRs. The only reason why I shoot with a camera is because it was gifted to me. I was very comfortable shooting with my smartphone. But if I have a camera that I can't use, it's like I can use them both. I can use them in conjunction. I shoot B-roll with my camera or with my smartphone, and it's hard to tell the difference. And so prior to receiving the camera, I was very comfortable shooting my smartphone.
All right.
Ring the bell, son.
All right. So that's the end of the first round. So judges, take it away. I'll start with Mr. J. Will. What you got?
Well, the question was, have they caught up? And I think Vrsatile made some really strong points by, in his way of his logic and his way of thinking that smartphones have caught up, being able to take them on the move and, not having to lug around a big camera. But Tech Rant, his way of thinking and the facts that he actually pointed out, they're true. Based on what they're saying, Tech Rant makes a more logical approach to say that, they've caught up, but they'll never really compete, is what I got from what Tech Rant was saying. So phones can catch up, but I don't think they really can compete with a DSLR. They never really could. And the strongest point that Tech Rant said was when people are watching videos, they see a quick clip of a phone, the video footage in there. That's a strong point because that's true. And they're recording with a DSLR or mirrorless camera. And but again, Versatile's point is that they are catching up. But Tech Rant, he's right. They have microphones on DSLRs, mirrorless cameras, and none of them pointed it out. I didn't think I heard anybody say price, but DSLRs now, mirrorless cameras cost less than smartphones. I didn't catch that from anybody. I was trying to listen closely, but if one of y'all said it, my apologies. But a DSLR does cost less, and mirrorless cameras cost less, and you get more. But I'm gonna give that one to Tech Rant.
Okay, Travis.
So the reason I asked for the exact wording of the question is because Vrsatile was answering a question that wasn't this exact question, and in that question he won. However, the question wasn't, are smartphones as good as DSLR for content creation, which I believe he won that, based on two simple things. Number one, the portability and if I can protect it, and then also the direct upload, I think is unbeatable. DSLRs don't really do that. But because we're just talking about, are they just caught up to DSLRs? That's a much tougher one. The Nightscape thing helped a little bit for sure. It ended up getting close. I think at the beginning he came out strong, and I did not see Tech Rant coming back. But Tech Rant really hit some hard points in the last couple of minutes. Very difficult to deny what he was saying, and the fact that so many content creators are just using DSLRs or mirrorless. And I would have liked to have seen something from Vrsatile that would have pointed out in what professional way some people are using smartphones to replace DSLRs. I mean, we saw it at the Apple thing. They did a whole thing where the guy made a trailer with a phone. If he had kind of mentioned that to kind of say they must be on the same level because they are doing major productions. There's an entire movie that was filmed on an iPhone. I think it's on Netflix or something. So I would have liked to have heard it, but I didn't hear it. And because I didn't hear it, it wasn't part of the argument. So I got to throw it out. So I got to give it to Tech Rant.
Okay. All right. So Wallace, what you got?
I had to follow off with Travis. Versatile, he came in very, very strong, and it was leading towards his way, but Tech Rant came back, and I think the blow for me was when he said, "What are you shooting off of?" And that's the answer right there. So I have to give it to Tech Rant.
Well, but he should not have said that's a good point. Never say that when you're in a tech battle. They don't say that's a good point.
I mean, you can say it's a good point, but you gotta have a really strong argument afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you gotta be able to follow up. But that's a good point. But check this point out. Other than that, I mean, both solid arguments, but there's no arguing what Tech Rant said. He got you. He made you stumble a little bit and called you out, and you fell for the okie doke, and he broke them ankles. So it's a wrap on that round one, Tech Rant.
Well, here's what we're gonna do. So that would qualify as a total knockout. And like I said, Versatile, you got 5 minutes. I'm gonna give you another 5 minutes to see if you can make a comeback argument. So you've heard what the judges said. You see the question again. Make sure you understand what the question is. It's not if they've beat them. Make sure you understand what the question is. And I'm gonna start your 5 minutes now.
Wait.
All right. Well,
before you start that, can you do? I'm not trying to take over your show, but I think it would be more entertaining if you gave him a new question. Because we gave him the answers to that technically. I mean, we kind of gave him the answers to that question.
That is true.
Hey, so just give like a easier question that they both can knock it out. So
I'm fine with going the distance.
Yeah, I mean,
okay. Well, I tell you what, if you're fine with going the distance, let me see. I don't want to throw out another question from another round.
Not that you couldn't do it, Versatile. I'm just saying, I want to see what you got. I might have to fight you one day on this thing. So I want to see what you got.
All right. I tell you what, if Tech Rant, if you're fine with going the distance, then we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and move on.
Why do you do this, Mike? Why are you so easy, man? You change like a leaf in the wind. Don't let him change up your rules. You said very distinct. If this happens, it's a total knockout. I don't care if it's the first round.
Okay.
I mean, I still say Tech Rant won. This is just like a little bonus clip. Tech Rant, you got that.
I agree.
But if you want to, if it was real quick, I thought it was gonna be like ping pong pow. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah,
so we're saying Tech Rant won the whole thing? Is that what we're saying?
It was that gut punch. Tech Rant.
Oh wow, yeah, that's why I thought it was. Wow, okay. I
want the people that showed up, that clicked on this video, this stream, that are here in the stream right now. It's 65 people in here.
Yeah,
I want them to get all of their time's worth. I can't say money's worth because they ain't paying nothing, but I want them to get all of their time's worth.
Let's go.
All right. Okay, well, all right, let me see. Because see, every time I make a rule, somebody come back and hit me with something and knocks it out or changes it. So we can either do another 5-minute question or we can keep on moving. Versatile, what you want?
That doesn't matter to me.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll give you another 5-minute question. And your question is going to be, I'm going to give you a question from another round. So Tech Rant asked you a simple question, and his question was, what are you using to film with your channel? Your answer was the mirrorless camera that was gifted to you by your average consumer. So I'm going to ask you this question. If you had to choose between that mirrorless camera or your smartphone, which one would you choose? And give me the reason why. And you got 5 minutes to do so.
Starting now?
Yep, starting now.
All right. So, given that this is a new question, I would choose a camera to run my channel because of the possibilities that it opens up afterwards. Yeah, to Travis's point, like he said, there are a few films out there that are shot off of an iPhone, but to the industry standard, shooting with a camera goes a much further way than a smartphone. And it's probably, you could call it dinosaur thinking, you could call it historic thinking to continue to only leverage the camera over the smartphone. But for those reasons, until that changes, I would use a camera to run my channel simply for the fact that I can get additional hardware to run with the camera, whether it's audio, whether it's lighting, the way it interprets light, what I can do with my camera, whether it's stationary like this, even though I'm using my phone right now to record this, I can shoot it stationary, or I can take it out and I can vlog with it. I can take it out and shoot cinematic footage with it, with additional options that still come to either platform, whether it's a smartphone or a camera, using gimbals to get smooth footage. Establishing the YouTube channel with a camera does help open opportunities with other creators or with other companies, other entities thereafter that could launch you even further than just YouTube. And using a camera makes you very versatile. You're not limited to a camera. You're also not limited to a smartphone, but that camera does give you that added versatility to do virtually anything that you want to, regardless if it's quality or not. And so for those reasons, I would use a camera to run my channel over a smartphone, because it gives your channel, more of a pro vibe, and it opens further doors and opportunities beyond YouTube.
Okay. So you got 2 minutes and 50 seconds left. I'm going to ask you, are you sure you're done before I stop? Because you won't get that time back. So you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop it then. All right. So judges, we'll go in the same order. Jay, starting with you. Did he redeem himself?
It's kind of, don't take it personal, son. But I just don't see the argument. I think it's kind of you probably should have took the other stance. You probably should have went for DSLRs and mirrorless cameras first. Because really, there's really no argument. Tech Rant really doesn't even have to go, to be honest, because Vrsatile, like I said, I like you. This is nothing personal. It's just business, but that just wasn't enough. I wasn't impressed. I think Tech Rant can use round one and still take this. I didn't really see any updated information. It's almost like you kind of just agreed with Tech Rant and null and void your entire argument you just put out. So that's just me. I still say Tech Rant.
All right. Travis.
I feel like the majority of what was said was confusing. And I don't mean I was confused. I felt like he was confused. But he did trip across 2 points that make me say, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Number one, the very last thing he said, I think he tripped across it, which was, can open up other opportunities. It certainly can. If you have a DSLR or mirrorless, you can definitely do weddings. If you show up with your iPhone at a wedding, your ass getting sent home. So that was true. And that's just between that and the other thing he said, which was, I think he said something about like collaborations or something with other people. And it kind of made me think, if I was, shooting everything on like a nice camera, I have like one of these high tech, B-roll camera things. And he comes to me to collab and I see he's shooting on like a Fire phone and the quality just not good. I'm not probably going to collab them. So it's a little weak, but if you add that with the being able to go and do something like as a side gig, I'm gonna give him enough. I'm gonna let him a little breathe. I'm gonna breathe a little on him. I'm gonna say, okay, I'm okay with that. So I'm okay with it as it's not beating a Tech Rant argument, which probably would have destroyed it in and of itself in a vacuum. I'm gonna say, okay, you good enough for me.
All right, so that's one back towards you. So Wallace, what you got?
I think Tech Rant, he spoke on this a while ago, and it has to deal with Twitter. He said Vrsatile only jumps when he does something. And this one, it seemed like he carried the attitude from Twitter. It's almost like he kind of agreed with Tech Rant. And it was just like, it was so many points.
I think they laughed at what
you got Jay with a laugh, man. What is happening?
They laughed at what not what Jadosha said.
Oh man.
But all right, excuse me. All right, so
I don't know, man. I'm confused right now with this one.
Okay, well, all right. Either way,
this was a good question.
Either way, here's what's happened. So because Travis went in your favor, you got the smelling salts, but the score stays the same. So therefore, it's still 3-1. So now what that means is the only way you can win is by a total knockout. So moving forward, you got to keep that in mind. You got to make sure when you pick your stats, you got to make sure you know where you're going, because that's the only way you can come back and take this from him is through a total knockout. So with that said, man, I feel like y'all answered all the questions I had pretty much in the y'all pretty much answered all my questions. So
no, just show up the questions and we keep going.
All right.
Yeah.
So the next question I was going to ask was, is it easier to run a
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
So the question is it easier to run a channel from a smartphone alone? So Tech Rant, because you were the winner of that round, you will go ahead and choose your stance and go. And your 5 minutes will start now.
I would say no. I would say it is actually harder to run a channel from a smartphone alone, because if you're doing YouTube and you're being serious about it and you want to grow, there's multiple things you need to take into account. You know, one, you got to worry about doing thumbnails. And sure, I know everybody talks about you can do thumbnails on your phone. If you don't have money, you know, you can do that. But we're talking about ease. From speaking from personal experience, I have tried to make thumbnails on my phone, and a lot of times it's hard to see. It's hard to be precise. If I want to get 4 or 5 images and put those together and layer them up so I can compete with other people doing stuff in Photoshop, I got to be on a computer. I can't do that all on the phone. And then the other thing is that doing the stuff on the phone, like, everything is more inconvenient. If I want to do tags for my videos, right? If I got like TubeBuddy and I want to do tags, it is 10 times easier to do that on a computer. I can literally just go ahead, pull up TubeBuddy, put my tags in there. Or if I got tags I have saved, I can, you know, just straight up copy them and paste them. Way easier. The YouTube Studio on the computer is way better. So it's so much easier for me to manage. Also, when it comes to managing stuff, let's say as far as, you know, doing videos, I can shoot a video, I can record a video, I can edit it, I can do all of that stuff together and upload it quicker and faster on the computer because I have a stable internet connection. My internet connection on my phone isn't exactly the most stable thing, whereas on a computer or a desktop or a laptop, it's more stable, it's more reliable. Another thing that a lot of creators don't realize is that when you go to upload a video from your phone, you got to keep that YouTube app open, because if you close it, it's going to pause. Or if you do YouTube Studio, it's going to pause. There's been plenty of times where I have my phone open, I hit upload, I sit my phone down to go grab my kid or whatever. I come back, find out that the phone is shut off or it went into low power mode or standby, whatever. My upload got paused. Now I got to go back and re-upload it once again. And that's just an inconvenience. Whereas on my computer, hey, I could just hit upload. I can walk away and not worry about it. That is 10 times easier for me. I really can't think of too much else that you could do on a phone that is, you know, technically easier. The only thing I can think of is, I'm not going to tell you, that's up to Vrsatile. And I am pausing my time.
Okay. So you are pausing your time with 2 minutes left on the clock. So with that said, Vrsatile, you heard his stance. So you take the opposite. So you got 5 minutes and your time will start right now.
I would say that, of course, it is easier to run a channel from a smartphone alone, just because you don't need any other equipment. You got your phone, you got, whether it's Chrome, whether it's the Samsung internet browser, any other internet browser usually will allow you to bring up the YouTube, or bring up any website in its desktop version, especially on a Samsung Galaxy device with DeX mode. So when you think about being able to upload or run your channel through your smartphone, you go into your web browser, you pull up the dashboard, you bring up the desktop version, you can start your upload right there. And then depending on the length of the video, it doesn't take that long. I upload from work all the time, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes. You know, of course, varying how large the file is, but anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes, which is not that long. So regardless of length, you can upload easy from your phone. If you have to go into your settings and change your timeout settings on your phone to not time out so quick, if when you start uploading, you can change that. You can change many features on a phone, and it doesn't have to be your primary phone. It can be a backup phone. It could be an alternative phone you have. It can be your work phone. And if you work at YouTube, you have a phone dedicated to doing YouTube. You got apps like PixArt, you got Snapseed, you got the Thumbnail Maker app. All you gotta really do is, and then of course that's subjective to what content you make, but a lot of times if it's a super nice picture and you want to overlay some font, like thumbnails, not that hard to make on a smartphone. And then of course, generating your content on your smartphone, everything's right there. You don't have to move things here to there, there to there. Everything's right here on your phone to be able to dish it out where you please, be able to run your channel, whether it's through the internet or through the YouTube app alone. You can straight do a direct upload there. And then in terms of the studio app, you got the YouTube Studio app where you can go right in there, add and delete tags as you please while the video is still uploading. You can change the title right there. You can, do your description box. You can handle all that right there and post video uploaded. If you go into your web browser, and as long as you have it on desktop version, it will bring up your YouTube dashboard or the Creator Studio. You can go right to the video, set your end screen, add your cards, add monetization ads within your video. So just in terms of running a YouTube channel, you can easily do that from a smartphone. It doesn't have to be your primary smartphone, but you can do it from a smartphone alone and not need any other equipment to be able to do so.
Okay. So I'm going to take it that you're done since you stopped. So y'all both left 4 minutes on the clock altogether. So I'm going to start the timer and y'all have your fun and go back and forth, and then we'll let the judges do their thing. 4 minutes now.
Oh, man. I wish you would stop sabotaging yourself. So the question is it easier to run a channel from a smartphone alone? And as you pointed out just recently, is that you could do it from your smartphone with no additional equipment. The last time I checked, the only way you can really run decks is externally. You cannot run decks internally from your phone. So when you're saying you're using decks, that technically counts as you need additional equipment. So if that's your argument, then I'm going to heavily go against you and say that that's adding stuff on. Like that's using an accessory.
But Dex is not on every phone. Any phone with a web browser, you can go in, activate desktop version on that web page. And you can use anything you need to as if it were the desktop version. Samsung Dex is just another example of another, software option. But in terms of any phone, as long as you download a web browser, that web browser will give you the opportunity to pull up anything in desktop version and get the full blown out website version as opposed to mobile version.
So what you're saying is it's easier for you to run your channel from a phone than it is from a desktop or mobile platform as far as laptop.
Yeah.
All right.
So you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Tech Rant, you look like you about to bust. Are you all right? Are you good?
Hey, all right.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and pause it.
Dude, man, finish the job or something. Do something, man. You gotta leave me hanging. Give me some blue balls up in here. Could you do something about this? Finish me off, man.
All right, so we're gonna go backwards this time. Wallace, you heard both sides. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Versatile. I hope we still can be friends, but I have to give it to Tech Rant. I'm sorry, man. That round, like it was a lot of things Versatile said, and it was just like it was contradicting himself, like as he was going. So it was just like and I think for me it was just I was confused on where he was trying to go, but then it's just like I think I want to ask this question. So I know Dex is with Samsung, but
right.
And he did say that, and it does come with the phone and everything now. And is it easier to run a channel from a smartphone alone? My thing is that is a smartphone, that is Samsung, all of that. And Dex, you use it with the actual phone, and it can. I've heard people say you can edit photos. I think my only thing is it's hard for me to try to, because I want to give that point to Vrsatile. Because I've seen so many people edit their videos and everything on a Samsung device using Dex. So it's kind of hard for me to not say, oh, he can't use that in his argument. So I'm trying to figure out where I want to go with that myself. I don't know how the judges feel about that, but.
Well, remember, Samsung Dex is just another example of an option.
Yeah.
Any phone will give you a web browser like, Google Chrome or the Samsung Internet browser, for example, or like I think even the Opera browser. You can go in and activate in the settings to pull up the desktop version. So Samsung Dex is just another example of another option you can use on your phone to pull up the desktop version to edit anything. But as it is, you can use Lightroom on your phone as well without having to pull up Dex mode to edit on your phone.
I mean, I know what Dex is. It was just, I think that's just a sticky situation because I don't know. I see a lot of people in the comment section saying, oh, it's an attachment, it's this and it's that, but that comes with the smartphone. I think that's where I think a lot of people are missing out with that because I've seen so many people edit with that, and it can make a channel easier to run from a smartphone. And I think that's stated in the question. So I'm gonna have to give it to Vrsatile.
Okay. All right. Travis, what you got?
All right. All the way up until just now, I hadn't made up my mind because I was with Tech Rant all the way up until that last little interchange, and then he said, "So you just saying because you can have Chrome the desktop version, does that make it easier?" And then he didn't say anything. I was waiting for the uppercut, and it never came. So I'm like, well, wait, but that is a good point. Like, if you can do the desktop version, that's a good point. But then I reread the question one more time because reading is fundamental, and I think people are they're getting into the feelings about it, and they're saying different things in the chat, and most of them wrong. I got the microphone. Is it easier? And I don't feel like Vrsatile made it easier. Like he made it possible because you have to download this, you have to have this, you have to do this. There's possibilities, 100%. But the question says, is it easier? And no, not from what I heard from Vrsatile. It's possible, and people do it. But is it easier? And I would say no. So for that reason, I would give it to Tech Rant.
Okay. Jay, what you got?
Well, I was taking notes on my Galaxy Note because this is a really good question. So reality is Vrsatile, from what I observed, he won that round by default. And here's why. They both gave compelling arguments. But like Travis said, is it easier to run that's the question. Is it easier? Just based on Vrsatile's approach on this, he did a better job. And on top of that, the reason I said he won by default is because Tech Rant gave out the wrong information. If I was a new YouTuber and I was listening to what Tech Rant said about uploading with YouTube application, that's the wrong answer. The YouTube application does not pause or stop the information from uploading in the background because I'm doing it right now. So I've been testing how, if you don't, I've been following my channel, I've been uploading from the Galaxy Note 100% for the last month or whatever. It doesn't pause and it doesn't stop. So by default, I give this to Vrsatile just because Tech Rant gave out the wrong answer in part of his question. Both compelling, but that's the wrong answer. Goes Vrsatile.
All right. Well, on that note,
hold on. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
That's a huge deal to me. No, I did not know.
Yeah, I stopped using my DSLR. I've been practicing because of my Project 13. He said, man, you got to get that one application I bought, the Director Pro. He said, he's a person that runs his whole channel from his smartphone. And I said, I can't do that. I got to have my Mac, It's been a tough 3 weeks or however long I've been doing it, but it doesn't pause in the background, and I've been knocking out 4K 60 frames per second uploads like that.
Is that true? Is that true on iOS as well, though?
That's not true on iOS. iOS, it doesn't pause in the background. So
okay, all right, Okay, all right, then I'm not going to.
iOS, you can't even do it. From what I'll
No,
test it on my. I never really went straight to. Man, maybe that's why Tech Rant gave that answer, because on iOS, I normally just stay in the phone because there's no true multitasking with iOS. You know, you swipe it away and it looks like it closes. So maybe that's why he gave that answer. And if he would have said iOS or Android or gave some kind of differentiation, then possibly Tech Rant could have took that. But I think it was still more of a draw. Yes, I do. Get out of here.
All right.
I know what I'm talking about.
All right. Well, with that there, Versatile, man, with that there, you are back in the fight because it is now tied, according to my tally. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the third round, third question. Now, this one may be a little confusing. So if you guys have questions, I will clarify. So remember, this is the title of the fight. Does a camera define your channel? So the question for the third round is, if you were going to use a camera for your channel, camcorder or DSLR? So Versatile, you won that one, completely catching yourself up. So that means you have the ability to choose your stance on this. So make sure you think about it, and I'll give you your 5 minutes and let me know when you're ready.
All righty. And so the question is camcorder or DSLR?
Yes. Question is camcorder or DSLR for your channel. And by DSLR, I basically mean mirrorless DSLR. You guys know what I mean by now. So camcorder or DSLR?
I'm picking the DSLR or the camera.
Okay. You got 5 minutes. Go.
All right. I'm picking the DSLR to run my channel just simply because of quality and you know, being able, all the accessories that come with that you can access or get for the camera, and its portability can be easier than a camcorder. And so with a camera, when it comes to quality, when it comes to audio options, when it comes to tripods and stuff like that, I'm picking the DSLR to run my channel over the camcorder. There are articulating viewfinders on cameras that can be used to be able to see myself. And of course, to remedy that, if you decide to go with a camera that doesn't, you do have the monitors that you can get. And so for those reasons, I'm picking the mirrorless camera or the DSLR over the camcorder.
Okay. Now you're leaving a lot of time on the clock. Are you going to go ahead and stop it there? You got 4 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Very confident. I like it. I like the confidence. So with that said, Tech Rant, you got 5 minutes. Your time starts now.
I need a quick clarification. Define camcorder.
Camcorder is what I'm using as a definition of a camcorder. If you go into Best Buy and you choose between a $500 Canon or a $200 camcorder to run your channel, both of them record.
But they have pro camcorders too, though. So are you talking about price or?
That's what I'm trying to get the definition on.
Yeah, some of those pro camcorders are like $5,000. They're the real deal.
Okay, well, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about the cheaper, lesser camcorders.
Oh, that's a dumb question. Huh?
What?
I gotta say a $200 camcorder or DSLR, which is gonna be minimally like $600. I mean, what is wrong with you, man? You're crazy. Just say camcorder. Just say camcorder and redeem yourself. Just say camcorder. Doesn't matter how much it is, and redeem it. Let's do that.
Camcorder.
Well, I mean, you didn't mention price, so it's kind of after Versatile's already answered. It's kind of messed up that you kind of changed it on him, but you know,
that's all I was gonna say. Because like, if you're not gonna include price, then I got my argument ready. If you are gonna include price, I got my argument ready. But I want to make sure Versatile knows. So if he wants to use the rest of his time, since we're not talking about price, go right ahead.
Man, that's a good. I like you, Tech Rant. You handle your business. That's nice.
All right. Well, you got 4 minutes on that one. So, like I said, I was not including price when I made the question. So I'm not going to include price right now. I'm not going to change it. So, so you got 4 minutes. Do you want to use it?
Yeah, I'll use additional time.
Okay.
Just in terms of price, you can still get a camera DSLR for $200, for $300, for $400. A lot of older cameras are still very capable today in terms of quality, and so when you look at just quality alone, you're going to get more or better quality out of a camera than you are out of a camcorder. So portability, size, the camera is going to give you more access to different situations, and so for those reasons, even if you account for price, if you're not getting a mirrorless and you decide to get a DSLR, you can still find very, very cheap DSLR cameras, even as far as $100-$150, that will give you solid quality to start your YouTube channel off, or to run your channel with, and that will still give you the option to add external audio, that will still interpret light well, that you can use in any environment. They're less intrusive than a camcorder. And so even if you're in the public, people may feel a little uncomfortable with somebody pulling out a camcorder, as opposed to a DSLR that looks like you're taking pictures with, whether you're taking pictures or recording. That camcorder gives people sometimes a different energy. So even for those reasons, discreetness, I would pick the DSLR over the camcorder if I was to be even out and about shooting. So price, portability, discretion, I'm going DSLR over camcorder.
Okay. All right. So Tech Rant, you got 5 minutes. Your time starts now.
All right. So the reason why I would go with the camcorder is because any camcorder is better suited for video than a DSLR. A DSLR and a mirrorless camera, they basically focus on pictures first, video second. So if you're using a camcorder, your options are a lot easier. Like pretty much anybody can pick up a camcorder and shoot. Not anybody can pick up a DSLR and shoot. A lot of times, DSLRs and mirrorless, they got lenses on them. Not everybody knows how to use a lens. Not everybody knows how to focus. So with camcorders, the autofocus is generally better, easier to use. Second, battery life. With the camcorder, 9 times out of 10, that one battery is going to be able to carry you on, as opposed to a DSLR or a mirrorless camera where that one battery can run out in anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour. Camcorders can easily record up to 2 hours. The other thing that you have to take into consideration is that the record times on a camcorder are longer. Usually with a camcorder, you can set it up and hit record and keep going. So if you're recording your content, if you mess up or anything, you're not sitting there having this timer in the back of your head like, oh, wait, I got to go stop the camera because my 30-minute time limit is about to come up. Or, hey, my camera is about to overheat, because as you know, a lot of cameras will overheat if you're recording at a high resolution, and a 4K camcorder will beat a 4K DSLR camera as far as recording times and heat and stuff like that. Also, to speak to your point about convenience, camcorders generally are smaller and less obtrusive than a DSLR camera. Like if you even look at any of the DSLR cameras, they're big, they're bulky, they got lenses that have to be on the front. Camcorder, you can literally just hold it on your hand, little wrist strap or whatever, and do like this. Trust me, I have been out filming and I have never seen a single person get stopped for walking around with a camcorder and recording. Whereas if you pull out a DSLR and a mirrorless camera and it has a lens, people will stop you all the time. They'd be like, hey, why are you trying to take pictures of my kids or anything like that? Camcorder, people don't worry about them. People don't care about them. Also, they're usually cheaper when you look at the open market or the used market or whatever you want to call it. So if you're looking for price and you really don't want to spend a lot of money, you can get a camcorder. You can get a professional camcorder way cheaper than you can get a DSLR, because DSLRs are all in demand because everybody wants to take pictures. No one's sitting there killing themselves over trying to buy a camcorder or whatnot because of the price. So they're usually cheaper. That still brings a really good point to them being good and the cost. So I honestly, I have to go with a camcorder over a DSLR based off all the points that you made.
Okay. All right. So you're leaving 1.5 minutes on the clock. So that's going to be 3.5 minutes between the two of y'all. So I'm going to start the clock up. So go.
All right, well, to your point about, since we're not talking about price, just as you can get pro camcorder, you can get pro or even better cameras that will suit no time limits on, let's say, 4K footage that have no timers. So you can record lengthier videos in 4K. Anything below 4K, typically anything doesn't have a time limit on. So just in terms of that alone, a camera is going to suit you well. In terms of portability, just as you can hold your camcorder like this, you can hold your camera like this, or take a tripod and do this. So in terms of portability, you still have a camera is still just as, if not more portable than a camcorder. And then picture quality.
Whoa. You just said a DSLR is more portable than a camcorder. Am I correct?
Yeah, because you can fit a camera in your pocket. You can't fit a camcorder in your pocket. So
you can fit a DSLR in your pocket
without the lens, yeah. So, I mean,
I'm sorry.
And you can use the RX100, which does not have to worry about a lens. It fits right in your pocket. That's one of the most biggest selling points of the RX100.
Is not a DSLR.
It is a DSLR.
No, the RX100 is not a DSLR. Sorry.
No, it's not.
That's a pocket cam. That's a pocket cam.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
All right. Well, outside of the RX100, then you can still take the camera and put it in your pocket, and then you can, just as you would probably carry a little bag with you or whatever. You got your lenses with you. Attach the lens to the camera, and there you go. So the size of the cameras.
Name a single DSLR that you can put in your pocket.
Single DSLR.
Name one DSLR that you can put in your pocket.
I would say the A5100.
You can put the A5100 in your pocket.
Yeah, that's one of the smallest alpha cameras that Sony had.
Okay, so you're gonna put an A5100 in your pocket, right? And where are you gonna put your lenses?
You carry in a bag with me.
Okay, so you're gonna have your camera in your pocket, right? And you're gonna have your lenses in your bag, as opposed to you can have one camcorder that you can just carry with you, and you're gonna have zoom with that. Also, the camcorder audio is gonna smack. It's totally gonna smack that DSLR and mirrorless all day. You got one thing to carry around, and you're telling me a DSLR and a mirrorless camera is easier to carry around, and that is more portable than a camcorder?
Yes, I am going to say that. And there's a good chance you're probably going to take more than just your camcorder out with you, just as you would with your camera. So regardless if you decide to put it in your pocket or not, you can still take it with you.
Why would I take more if I have a camcorder that has good audio? It has a flip out screen. It has a long battery life.
But there's cameras that have the same thing. The cameras have.
With my camcorder, I can take one thing.
The Sony cameras, the new Z batteries in the Sony cameras now have a great battery life. You can shoot for a couple of hours, a few hours if you have to, with the Z battery, with the new Z batteries in Sony cameras.
All right,
and so,
all right. So, judges, we're gonna go with Travis first.
Can I have a clarification? Are you wearing cargo pants when you're putting that because if so, that's a different story.
You can.
That might change my vote.
You can. You would be wearing cargo pants.
Okay. So as long as you're wearing cargo pants, okay. All right, that's cool. All right, look, I'm not gonna make a big deal about this. This was difficult. I honestly thought this would have been a slam dunk for DSLR, but it was not. So camcorder for the win. That's Tech Rant. I don't want to go into too much detail. I like you, Vrsatile. I really do. You do try. I like how you try hard. I do like that. And I give you props for that. I like you a lot. But I like Tech Rant a little bit more right now.
Mr. J.
Tech Rant.
Okay. All right. Wallace.
Tech Rant, man. And I have to tell Vrsatile, the A5100 is an entry-level mirrorless camera. It's not a DSLR.
But no.
We're talking about cameras, though.
Yeah. Just one.
The question was on cameras, period. And that's why I thought the RX100 would still suit the question, because
that question says DSLR. And to be technical,
DSLR covers the camera range.
No. A mirrorless camera is a mirrorless camera for a reason, and a DSLR is a DSLR for a reason. The RX100 is a pocket camera, which is like $1,500, right? The new one is like 15 or something like that. That's expensive.
Yeah, but you get an older one for like $600.
True, I agree. But
to clarify to what Vrsatile is saying, I did say at the beginning of it that DSLR included mirrorless cameras. I just put DSLR when I was making it, but I didn't think about mirrorless cameras. So the argument is all camera ranges versus a camcorder, just like all the other questions. So just want to make sure I put it out there. I did say that.
That's cool, but you know, it still goes to Tech Rant because
just making sure
the argument about the camcorders is actually true. I think when I started shooting video, I was using the big old VHS test, but when I started doing YouTube, the second camera I bought was a camcorder. And Tech Rant made some strong points, man. That thing would go for an hour and a half, no overheating, no nothing, man. Just flip it around. It's small, it's compact, and I banged out a lot of footage on there. So, Vrsatile, good job, but I just think Tech Rant's argument was the real deal.
Okay. So, with that said, that's another knockout. So I'm going to stick to my rule. I'm going to give you 5 more minutes.
But call the doctor.
Yeah, I'm going to give you 5 more minutes. I'm going to give you 5 more minutes to try to argue the point. But I'm going to give you another question like we did the first time.
All right.
So your question is going to be, would you recommend, or what would you recommend to a new creator? So if somebody came to you and said, hey, Vrsatile, I want to start a YouTube channel, what are you going to recommend to them as far as their camera of choice? Smartphone, DSLR, mirrorless, camcorder. Your question is, what are you going to recommend to them? And you need to treat the question as if none of us know what you're talking about. So help us out. You got 5 minutes on the clock. Your time is going to start now.
All right. Well, I would pick the mirrorless camera or the camera just again because the YouTube channel is like the entry level into anything afterwards. And so when you have a camera that you can use to shoot with or that you learn to shoot with, you, especially at the beginning, you don't have to worry about going through the stages of using a smartphone or any other product. You can start straight with the mirrorless camera, learn how to use it, get good at using it. And as you grow and maybe change your mirrorless cameras out or whatever, it opens the doors again to several opportunities outside of that because professionally, no one uses camcorders. They use cameras. And so by using and by mastering the mirrorless camera, it helps you not just with the YouTube channel, but it helps you open those doors again everywhere else outside of YouTube. And so that's why I would recommend a mirrorless camera to start the YouTube channel with over a smartphone or a camcorder or anything because of all the opportunities that the camera presents itself with, including photography. Because you can have a photography business outside of YouTube, or that can also kind of go towards helping your YouTube channel. As we know, on YouTube, there is that space of creators that do videography and photography. And with the mirrorless camera being versatile as it is, you can shoot videos and then have pictures that you use to either complement those videos that you use for YouTube. And, if it's Instagram that you use or your own photography website, your mirrorless camera can shoot very well photos, of course, that we know, and it can record very good video. And then by those two combinations alone, that's what really helps you branch out. If of course you decide to take those opportunities. And so for those reasons, again, I'm picking the camera, the mirrorless camera over any of the other options.
Okay. All right. So judges. Same order, Travis.
I mean, it's a good enough answer to the question. I mean, it's fine with me, I guess. I mean,
Travis,
at this point,
you may be a comedian, bro. You may be laughing.
I'm just saying, man, dude is swimming upstream. I feel bad for him. It's like, yeah, all right, that's a good enough answer. But he's gonna get back in the ring, and then we might have to do this again. And I'm like, all right, well, dude, it's good enough for me. Let me just say that it's good enough for me.
So you're giving them the point?
Sure. Why not?
Okay. So that's a sure. Jay, what you got?
I came up in an era where we all can't win. You lost, Vrsatile. I'm saying every kid don't get an award in this playing field here. That's how I came up. You ain't all getting no certificate. So I'm not handing out stars on your shoulder. Wasn't a good point. You didn't look like you knew what you was talking about. And don't take it personal. I still got love for you on Twitter, but this is sabotage, right? I couldn't even follow you for a second, but you did all right, bro. But you ain't getting no star for this one. You don't get a star on your chest.
Wallace?
Hey, man, I'm doing this for you right now, man. Throwing in the tab for you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, man.
All right.
That one.
So, Travis, you really don't even seem like you had a point to give. So,
I mean, really, you were basically asking, did he make a good enough point? He made a good enough point, but I feel like if you're asking me, should he get back in there and fight again? I'm gonna say no.
What I'm asking you just basically off of what he said. Did he convince you? That's the purpose of it. Did he convince you?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. He made some good points, but again, I don't think that yes. To answer that question, yes, that part, yes. But I kind of agree with the other guys. Like after this, it's like,
okay, all right. Well, it seems like everybody's in unison. So this one's gonna go to Tech Rant. This fight's gonna go to Tech Rant, and Tech Rant's gonna take the belt in the first undercard battle, but. And the thing is, what everybody needs to make sure we remember the chat as well, because the chat has been absolutely savage, and I'm not even paying attention to the chat. But the thing that we need to make sure that we remember is this: the purpose of this is to have some fun, learn something in the process, and if you get knocked down one day, you come back to fight another day. A lot of people wouldn't have even taken the chance to do it. So, Versatile, for the fact that you took the opportunity, definitely. I would have you back. No question. I would have.
I like to see a rematch. I like to see him come back and try to get that win. I mean, not everyone starts off with the win.
Now you know how it goes. That's the thing about it. When we did the weigh-in, I could tell at the weigh-in that you were ready, but you were still kind of trying to fill it out a little bit. But now that you know how it goes, you know how to make it work, and you know how to do it. So we're gonna go on ahead and move on from this one. And Tech Rant, you go home and hug TJ and get in the chat and have fun. Versatile, you go and do whatever you're gonna do. I don't know if you and your wife got kids, but I'd imagine if you don't, you're gonna do like I am and have a movie night and cuddle up and enjoy the night. So I'm gonna go ahead and
Tech Rant.
Hey, all I gotta say is Winnie the Pooh.
All right, so on that one, I'm gonna go ahead and remove you guys, and y'all can go ahead and back out, and we're gonna go ahead and get ready for the next fight.
All right,
that was good.
All right.
So I think if we think about rankings, Tech Rant I think he's about ready to get his title rematch here whenever that decides to happen. I think that was a good enough fight.
His title rematch is going to be against LB for the Pixel 4.
Yeah,
so
I think that's appropriate.
All right. So I'm removing Tech Rant and I'm removing Versatile. Again,
good job, fellas.
Have a good night.
That's good.
And y'all can back out.
Try to argue someone. She thinks she knows everything up in there, man. She is talking mad smack while she's trying to watch football at the same time, knowing she half paying attention to both. Settle down, young lady. Settle down. She out there wilding.
All right.
Wilding.
So, with that said, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the heavyweight fight. So the heavyweight fight is featuring the default champ, LeBarron Burton Sr. Y'all have seen him almost on every single fight, and he just recently got called out by John Prosser of Front Page Tech. So that's going to be an interesting fight. I can only imagine how many F-bombs are going to get dropped that night, but there's going to be an interesting fight. And he's going to be going up against TK from Total Tech, Everything 100, Savage, Stone Cold of Tech. So I'm going to bring both of those guys in, and you guys get ready. LB, welcome back to the ring.
What's going on, people? What's going on?
So, for the heavyweight fight, you guys know the rules. I've said them once. I'm not going to say them again. But since everybody in the chat wants to question how I get down, I am going to say them again. 5 rounds, 10 minutes apiece, 5 minutes each person. I'm going to give you your topic. I'm going to give you your question. Your job is to debate the other side of the argument. Now, if you get knocked out, you will get a bonus question to potentially pick yourself up. But I don't know if that's going to happen because we got some heavyweights here. So with that said, you guys are going to be talking about the OnePlus 7 Pro and the 7 Pro T. Now, I put 7 Pro T up there because we don't know too many rumors about it, but that's not going to come up. These questions are going to be based off of OnePlus as a whole currently. Some of them are going to involve the 7 Pro and some of them are going to involve OnePlus as a company. So being that both of you have used the OnePlus, both of you have knowledge of OnePlus, this should be a good fight. So with that said, let's get right on into it. First round is going to be, has OnePlus lost their way? So if anybody wants clarification to that question, I will offer it.
Nah.
Okay. LB, you need any clarification?
No.
All right. So LB, being that you are the default champ, you do get the opportunity to go first in this round. So your 5 minutes will start right now.
All right, no. OnePlus has not lost their way. OnePlus is actually winning right now. OnePlus has taken over the Indian market, which is a growing market. The Indian market grew 14% last year, with them owning 36% of that market. So anytime you're owning 36% of a growing market, you're winning. Other thing, OnePlus has just moved into the top 5 spaces of the U.S. Top 5, global market, not even just the U.S., but global market. They're right below Oppo. Okay. So they cannot have lost their way. OnePlus is still being discussed. OnePlus is still being sold. They're still winning in all their charts. And they're doing all this by having subpar cameras. They've got basically one of the best OS out there outside of just plain Android. You know, it's like, it's Google Pixel, then there's OnePlus that you hear all the time. They were the first to really draw the attention to the 90 hertz screen, although you had, 2 people do it prior, but OnePlus is the one that drew the attention to the 90 hertz screen. I mean, what else can you say? OnePlus owns, they sold 28.7 million devices in the Indian market alone. That's not even including the US. All right, so with that, I'll turn it over to Tech, Total Tech.
Okay. All right. So TK, you got 5 minutes. Your time starts now.
Babe, can I get a kiss real quick? Thank you. I mean, I hate to open it this way, but look, man, let me just go all the way in here with this. First of all, your argument is invalid. And the reason why your argument is invalid is India ain't got shit to do with the OnePlus 7 Pro. That's the OnePlus 7. So you immediately take an L on that point. And the units that you're talking about selling are not the OnePlus 7 Pro. The question was asking about if OnePlus lost its way. We're talking about devices that are sold here in the United States of America. You can't buy the OnePlus 7 here in America. So whatever they selling in India ain't got shit to do with the United States. Further, you came with the, OnePlus brought 90 hertz attention to the masses. Wrong. While you did mention the first places that did, actually the first company that brought any kind of 120 hertz in a mobile space attention-wise to the market was Apple with the iPad. And when it came to a phone, it was the Razr phone. So that's who brought a higher refresh rate than 60 hertz first, not OnePlus. And if we really want to keep it 100, they didn't even make the damn display. This display comes from Samsung. So technically Samsung brought that display up. So L number 1 and L number 2. And if I really want to be grimy, which I will be, catch this L train. And with that said, I will let LeBarron bask in these L's.
All right. With that said, y'all got 6 minutes on the clock. So y'all got 6 minutes to do your thing. Go ahead.
Okay, I believe the question was OnePlus, did OnePlus lose their way? I answered that question. I said OnePlus.
I answered. I responded. I responded to your response.
The question was, did OnePlus lose their way? Okay, I answered that. Okay, with the numbers. The numbers don't lie.
You talk about a phone that has nothing to do with the question.
OnePlus is a company. He didn't say did OnePlus 7 Pro lose away. He said
Mike,
did
Mike,
OnePlus lose their way.
Mike, put the banner up. Just because I know he might be on some Mayweather shit and can't read. So let's go ahead and put this up on the screen real quick.
The question was, has OnePlus lost their way? That was
exactly.
This
I
one.
can read clearly.
Oh, what were we talking about? What was the
There's
first
no
banner that
buts.
you put up on
Has OnePlus lost their way?
Okay,
Simple
hold
point.
on. The first banner was that's the title of the fight.
Okay.
Plus 7
Well, I'll put it like this, LeBarron. Since you want to make that your argument, you can stand on that. Let me tell you why OnePlus lost their way. OnePlus came out as a flagship killer. Remember that title, flagship killer. This is long before Carl Pye got caught in a dress like Young Jock. This is long before he got run out of his own party in Las Vegas. This is long before any of the bitch shit that this dude has been known for doing. Okay, OnePlus came out with a phone that was $300 and it was supposed to be a flagship killer. Okay, they're now selling a phone that is technically in a premium tier price. Okay, that phone is $750, right? If you buy the phone at T-Mobile with the 8 gig model, you're still paying.
Whoa.
Hold on.
Let me save you some trouble.
They lost their way. If you don't think a company that's selling a phone that went from $300 that was supposed to be a budget Android option that lets you do whatever you wanted with the phone was developer friendly at $300.
The market has spoken. When the market speaks, you listen. They are selling devices.
If
they lost their way, they stop selling devices. When they lose their way, they stop selling devices. The market has spoken. When consumers are buying, that means you're winning. Okay. So if you are increasing on the number of items that you have sold, that means you're winning.
Google this. OnePlus sold more OnePlus 5s and OnePlus 5Ts than the 7 Pro, period. Those are documented factual numbers. Same with the 6 and 6T. So if you don't think, if the numbers matter, you keep coming back to the numbers. OnePlus has been on the mat like my boy Joshua from the UK getting knocked out by the fat Mexican.
Number 5 of the list, global market, is OnePlus. How is that losing?
Who are the other phones? Because OnePlus is now trying to go to flagship. Go ahead and read the other ones on the list above them.
Samsung. Apple.
Who else?
LG. And Oppo.
So you're going to say that they're killing it when LG, which is probably has the most trashiest sales of all flagship phones, and they're giving away microwaves and TVs to sell their shit. You're going to tell me that OnePlus
about a list
under them. No.
You're talking about a list. You're talking about a list that OnePlus was not on. They're on that list. They're in the top 5. No matter how you twist it, whatever your opinion of the company is, they're in that top 5. The top 5 is the top 5.
That's like saying you rock it with a female and she's number 5 on the list, and you got Nicki, Cardi, a couple chicks from Love and Hip Hop, and then you got this random chick at number 5.
Hey, is time up? Because these invalid points are really just driving me crazy.
Now you got 2 minutes. Y'all got 2 minutes. If y'all want to end it,
okay, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna let him go for the next 2 minutes. I'm not saying anything else. Any business person knows that the proof is in the numbers, and if your numbers are winning, you're winning. All right.
They sold less OnePlus 7 Pros than they have of the 6 or the 5. And if you don't think that matters, you're out of your mind. And that's with them having an agreement to sell the phone in the US, which they didn't have with the 5 or the 5T. Period. So if you think because they sold more 5s and 5Ts and 6Ts, and they haven't sold that many with the 7 Pro, that they're doing better, that's ignorant.
All right. Minute left, LB. Retort, rebuttal?
I'm still waiting for him to give me some facts on numbers. I've given the facts. Everybody in the chat, all the judges can look up the numbers that I just given. I don't know where he pulled his numbers from, but
you can literally Google sales numbers. You can literally Google sales numbers and see how many. Go to GSM Arena. They have sales numbers too. I mean, I know if you want to go check something that way, go that way. But just Google it. If you don't think I did any research before
top five
I came
position,
in,
baby. Top 5 position. For everything that you're saying they're doing bad, they're in the top 5 position. They weren't there before.
Here's the thing.
Something's not adding up.
Name 5 major manufacturers.
Top 5 position.
You're not saying shit. If you're number 5, name 5 major flagship manufacturers.
Top 5 position. Global market.
There is nobody else. HTC is dead. There's no. If you're at the bottom of the list and there's only 5 on the damn list, you suck. You're a loser.
What company? What's the parent company?
You ended your argument.
What is the parent? What is the parent company of OnePlus?
You took the L. You took the L when you jumped out there and said they were under LG.
Somebody break
that gives away microwaves and TVs with their phone.
Go ahead.
All right, man. All right, good Lord.
Hey,
Jay, what you got?
I'm just fact checking.
Yeah, that's what I need. That's actually what I need. Please
because,
do that.
You know, this kind of spiraled off into numbers, but the question was, you know, I understand the point of both of y'all. Good job on the argument, but the question was, has they lost their way? So when you try to factor in numbers with that, TK, you can't win that argument because the first set of numbers, it's almost like you agreeing with him indirectly, because the fact that the OnePlus 7 Pro has not outsold the OnePlus 6, that still doesn't mean that they didn't lose their way. They just means that I think the OnePlus 6 sold like 1 million in like the first 22 days or something like that. I was trying to read that article, but the OnePlus 7, you know, it's been out for a little bit longer than that. But if you just take numbers out of the way, I would have taken a different approach to argue with LB. I'm gonna save mine when I battle LB.
He kept pushing the numbers, and I made it clear that they started as a $300 phone, and now they're at $750.
That's true, but that doesn't mean they lost their way. That just means that today people are still buying the phone. People are still buying the phone, even if it's not as many as they won. I say they haven't lost their way. I don't think they lost their way because the numbers actually don't lie. Just because they haven't sold 10 million OnePlus 7 Pros, the US is not just it's more than in the world than just the US. So if you look at it as a whole, you can't win that argument about numbers if you try to eliminate India and the update. It's not just India, by the way, LeBarron. It's a whole bunch of other countries that the OnePlus 7 Pro is the top fastest selling premium phone.
I was just trying to keep it simple.
No, that's fine, but the fact is, it's not just India. It's a whole bunch of countries where the OnePlus 7 Pro is the top selling phone for the fastest one for the OnePlus. So just based on the question alone, I give it to LB because he sounds like he answered the question directly by saying, no, they didn't lose their way because LB.
All right. Travis.
So, yeah, it's have they lost their way is a really interesting question because I think 3 different people will interpret that question 3 different ways, or at least 2 different ways. I interpret it more of a holistic thing. And in that way, I agree with TK because holistically, they were the flagship killer at a low price. That was who OnePlus was. Otherwise, they would have never gotten out of the first couple of years because no one would have cared. If they came out at flagship prices when they first came out, they wouldn't have survived. So in that way, and just simply because of that, and because of my interpretation of that question, that it's a holistic question, I'm going to go with TK. If the question should have been something else, then the question should have been clearer, but that's how I'm taking it.
No, but Travis, let me jump in. That negates what you said in the last round. This is a different fight, man. This is a different fight. No. Based on that, you're saying that in perspective of what you believe. All we're here to do as judges is listen to what they say.
No, it's the way I'm interpreting the question.
Yeah, but how did how did they interpret the question? Not you. Because out of the way, you judge what they say.
No, I did. TK actually said this at the beginning. He said OnePlus started off as the low-priced flagship killer, which is what I'm basing my answer on.
He's right.
That's what I'm basing my answer on. And they're no longer doing that. They're more at a flagship level price, which is what he said. This is, again, all of his information. And I agree with that. I understand what LB said. LB actually had a bunch of information I was not aware of. And I was like, all right, I can't fact check all of it. But based on the way I understand the question and what was said, I heard a bunch of numbers about sales, but sales don't really mean that you haven't lost your way. You can sell out and lose your way. Like if you sell out, did MC Hammer ever lose his way? A lot of people would say yes, but he sold more.
Yep.
So that's what I'm going with anyway. So mine's for TK.
Okay. All right, Wallace, what you got?
So the question was, did OnePlus lose their way? And I hate to do this, TK, but it's almost like OnePlus, what were they known? They were known for being the flagship killer. Most flagships start around that $1,000 price range almost. Then he mentioned sales. They're leading up to being a flagship killer with sales. So it's almost like they are still on that model, and then also with speed, they still with the speed. So it's just like I'm aiming towards LB for the facts and everything, but they're still flagship killers if they were rising up and they're number 5. Because I don't even remember hearing about OnePlus up until the OnePlus 6 a few years ago, and then the 7 Pro. So I have to give it to LB.
Okay. All right. So that's the end of the first round. So I'm gonna throw the banner up for the second round, and I'm gonna leave it up here so everybody can make sure that we're all on the same page. So this question is gonna lead into I see the way that this is going. So I'm gonna kind of preface the question just so I can make sure that everybody is on the same page as to what the question is about. So OnePlus, known as the flagship killer. And OnePlus came out with the phone this year. Everybody's seen it. We all know about it with the pop-up camera, 90 hertz refresh rate, all that good stuff. A lot of people said it was best thing on the market, and some people said it was revolutionary. So my question to you guys is this: is the OnePlus 7 Pro really revolutionary? So LB, because you won that round, you get to go first again. Your 5 minutes start now.
Is it revolutionary?
Yes, that's the question. I'm leaving it up there for you.
I'm gonna go. Okay, can we pause? I'm sorry.
Okay.
What is the? I need an understanding of what you mean by revolutionary. I want to make sure that my understanding is clear.
Okay, bringing something new to the smartphone market. Is OnePlus doing something in the smartphone market that no one has done before? Revolutionary. Some people claim they are, some people claim they aren't. So that's my question: is OnePlus doing something revolutionary with their devices and what they're doing in the market?
And to be clear, revolutionary is different than evolutionary. It's two different words.
Yeah.
Does not mean I don't want to hear nothing about evolutionary. I want to hear revolutionary.
Right.
Exactly. Thank you, Travis. All right.
That's why I asked.
Okay. So starting you over because you only use like 10 seconds. So, all right, you got 5 seconds. Go.
No, it's not revolutionary. There's nothing about the phone that I would say is revolutionary. I mean, it's hard for me to say that for any phone in the market right now, currently, and OnePlus is not one of those companies. The cameras, they're no better than half the cameras in the market. The refresh rate on the screen, as TK pointed out, they weren't the first company to do it. They just drew more attention than the ones that did do it. The only thing that they do have going for them is the speed of the OS. And most people, if they want speed in the OS, they'll just go buy a Pixel. So no, the phone isn't revolutionary. I'm going to leave it at that.
All right. You sure? You leaving the whole 4 minutes.
I mean,
you and Vrsatile got the same coach because you leaving a lot of time.
Cold, man.
A lot of time.
Mean, that one right there, I'll play it accordingly. Let him get his rebuttal first.
Man, give him some time to pop me some popcorn and send it over here because I ain't seen none in about 7 months. So let him get that time.
All right, TK, you got 5 minutes. Your time starts now. Good sir.
I gotta argue for OnePlus.
That's the point of the debate. That's why
they're gonna turn this into a friggin' ad. Oh man, this is set up. All right. Damn, do I just immediately want to hold it? I might have to hold the L. I gotta argue.
DK, man, you better not, man. Come on, man.
Just remember by the rules. If you agree, you're automatically done. You don't even get a chance to come back. So don't do
I
that.
know. I could argue. God damn, man. All right. All right.
I'm glad to see the black man get over the white man get screwed. I love it.
All right. All right. Is the OnePlus 7 Pro revolutionary? Yeah, I mean, I guess there's some things where it could be considered revolutionary. While OnePlus was not the first company to come up with a higher than 60 hertz refresh rate on a screen, that would be Razer that did that first, or Nextbit, actually. Damn, Jano says, I see you in the chat. That's foul. I would have to say that, yeah, they were the first company to drop an AMOLED display with a higher than 60 hertz refresh rate. So that is revolutionary. I believe they are the first. And now, again, I didn't test this. I just have to go by their BS marketing. They are the first camera manufacturer of a phone that had a pop-up camera that you could hang bull balls from, like 40 pounds of stuff you could hang from that pop-out camera. And when you say it's not revolutionary, LeBarron, you're on the OnePlus 7 Pro right now, and I can see the gray hairs in your head because that camera is so damn crispy from that front-facing camera. That's pretty damn revolutionary. So when you want to talk about what's revolutionary, the fact that the OS, which Google has the Pixel, but if you get bested by another company with basically your software, but it's faster than your flagship, Cadillac S-Class, S500, S600, phone, your Pixel 3 XL, and the OnePlus is running circles around you, that's pretty sad. So you can't be talking about the Pixel, people that want the Pixel. No, the OnePlus is faster. I have said this before, as much as I hate this company. And they did technically drop something that was revolutionary. They are the first company to drop an AMOLED display that had a higher than 60 hertz refresh rate. That's revolutionary. If we're going by something that's a big change, that would be similar to what Sony did, which they were the first manufacturers to drop a 4K display on a phone. So when we're using the term, did they do something or is the phone revolutionary? Yeah, because now everybody's had that OnePlus 7 Pro, whether or not it's running full 90 hertz. Shout out to Eric from Easy Computer Solutions and not. Everybody else is now chasing them to get that AMOLED display out with a higher than 60 hertz refresh rate. So when it comes to that, if we're talking about revolutionary, that also means you set the market or you're making changes to the market. And OnePlus has definitely done that. As much as I want them to eat all these in the world, they have definitely done that.
All right. So that's a minute and a half with a total of 6.5 minutes. So now is the part that everybody loves the most. Y'all have fun. Time starts now.
All right. So you're saying that the OnePlus 7 Pro has changed the market. Is that what you're saying? You're saying that this phone has changed the market.
Yeah, facts.
Because just because they were the first person with a pop-up camera, I don't see Samsung running to pop in a pop-up camera. I don't see Apple running to put in a pop-up camera. I don't see LG running to put in a pop-up camera. I see OnePlus, I see Oppo, I see all the companies from the same conglomerate doing the same thing because it's cheaper for them to do it. That's the route that they went. I don't see a bunch of companies breaking their neck to put in a pop-up camera.
Xiaomi. There's plenty of other companies that are putting in pop-up cameras. So wrong. And second of all, Apple is crap. They do the same BS every year. So they're not going to go by. They know that they can sell garbage to their people and their people are going to buy it like sheeps. So it doesn't, they could literally come out with a turd and put a camera on it and say, this is the iPhone 12 and people are going to jump on it. So that's irrelevant. And when it comes to Samsung, don't get me started about the double booty hole on the front of every single S10, S10 Plus, and S10 5G that they put on the front of those things, and that nasty booty hole that they put on the front of the Note 10. So as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to that, here's the thing. What I said was, yes, they are setting the market. That 90 hertz refresh rate on an AMOLED display set the market. You had Asus pushing to get out that higher refresh rate on the ROG 2 phone. Why? Because they saw.
Are you just saying? Are you saying guy that just got finished using the argument of the iPad about the refresh rate?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I was just clarifying that.
This is going right along with what I'm saying. I said an AMOLED.
It's revolutionary now.
It's okay. Is an iPad?
It is or it isn't.
LeBarron, please don't make yourself look stupid, bro. An iPad is not an AMOLED display. All right, you're making yourself look ignorant.
I understand that.
What I said was it was the first, absolute first on the market released by a phone with a higher than 60 hertz refresh rate on an AMOLED, which before the OnePlus 7 Pro, nobody said it was done or could be done. So that's, by that definition alone, that's revolutionary. So hold this down.
Okay, but they made that AMOLED screen, or they're revolutionary because they bought it from Samsung.
What do you mean? But this is, you asked if this is not about where they bought
the AMOLED screen.
It doesn't matter who made the screen.
Who made the AMOLED screen?
You're diverting from the question. OnePlus. The question was, is the OnePlus 7 Pro revolutionary? Did it change the market? Yes. Everybody has seen that OnePlus 7 Pro display at 90 hertz as an AMOLED
but in
display.
Your argument,
everybody's trying to catch up.
Right. So in your argument, to combat that little portion of your argument, I would claim that Samsung was a revolutionary one because they sold it to OnePlus. They developed it. They said, hey, we got this on the market. OnePlus said, hey, can we buy that from you?
The question was, was the OnePlus 7 Pro as a phone revolutionary? That would be like saying iPhones aren't because they use Samsung displays, or the iPad's not because it uses a Sharp display.
You just said Samsung. You just said Apple wasn't. You just said that
what
yourself.
I'm saying is,
you're right.
When the iPad came out with 120 hertz refresh rate, do you think they manufactured that display? No, they didn't. Sharp did. Okay. Same thing for Razer. Sharp manufactured that display.
Okay, I'm not doing.
So does that mean that the Razer wasn't revolutionary because they were the first phone with 120 hertz display? No, it means that they were. That was put into their phone. That would be like saying, you know what, the Corvette is really not a great. The new Corvette C8 is not a great car because it uses some different aspects of Audi and Porsche in their suspension. It's still a Corvette. Period. Or I know my man Jay here is a Chrysler guy. That'd be like saying, oh, the new Hellcat, the Demon's not a beast because it uses some different parts from Maserati that they put on the vehicle. And it's still a Hellcat. It's still a Demon. The OnePlus 7 Pro is still a OnePlus 7 Pro.
We're arguing revolutionary.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's revolutionary.
We're arguing
the OnePlus 7 Pro was the first phone that was an AMOLED display over 60 hertz. By definition, that is revolutionary. First to market, change the market. Everybody's trying to catch up. Next.
First to market and changing the market is two different things.
I'd say both.
Okay. Period. Because if Samsung comes and does 120 hertz,
Samsung had a choice with the Note and they didn't. They fell on their face with it.
Okay, but once again, if Samsung comes with 120 hertz, okay, are they changing the market?
No, because OnePlus has already done it. They were the first phone.
For 90 hertz, everybody was doing 60. You got a 90 hertz. What I'm saying is, overall, the phone is not revolutionary. No one in the market is fighting to copy.
Yes, they are. What are you talking about? Asus just did it. They had to change their development to put 120 hertz AMOLED display on their phone. They weren't coming with it. Huh?
Asus doesn't direct no market.
Oh my God. Are you okay?
Just a small percentage of the market.
Thoughts for you? It's not about who directs the market. It was if it's revolutionary.
If you're revolutionary, you're changing the entire market.
And if you don't think that the 90 hertz AMOLED display that was dropped by OnePlus in their phone hasn't got everybody else with an AMOLED phone, like Xiaomi putting out hacks to you can unlock the bootloader and increase the frame rate to 87 because they wanted to catch up to OnePlus. And other manufacturers trying to push that limit to get to 90 hertz.
But I will argue that that's not something that OnePlus developed and designed. That's something that they bought from the company that actually revolutionized that screen.
You're not listening. OnePlus.
Woo! Call the police. Let me go get my bag.
Slobber knocker.
Let me go get my strap.
All right.
Get this.
Throwing the question back up there one more time.
Woo.
And we're going to go Wallace. What you got?
I'm going to give it to TK. And the reason I'm giving it to TK is because they are revolutionary, because the Google Pixel 4 XL will have a 90 hertz display. That's a simple answer right there, because Google don't go that extra route, and they're trying to go that extra route.
Okay. Travis, what you got?
All right. I mentioned at the beginning of this the difference between evolutionary and revolutionary. Let me go ahead real quick, go to dictionaryalmost.com so I can explain why I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Evolution is the gradual change, adaptation, progression, or metamorphosis. Revolution is the forceful overthrow for an entirely new system. TK can beat the snot out of LB on just about every damn thing. I would watch that all day long. However, he was given a really bad side of the argument that he cannot win. Impossible, because it's evolutionary, not revolutionary. It's an evolution of OLED 60 hertz. Revolution is something like flip phone to smartphone. That is a revolution. An evolution is a revolution would have been no front camera to front camera. That's a revolution. An evolution is just making something that exists better. So TK beat the snot out of him and everything else. Like I didn't even have to listen to it. I'm like, TK winning this ass, but he can't win the argument based on the question. There was no way for you to win this, TK, but you did. You entertained the shit out of me. You the man, dude. I would never tech fight you, but I'm gonna tell you something. You could not possibly win that. It just you got jacked, my friend. So I gotta give it to LB begrudgingly.
All right, Jay,
begrudgingly.
Man, look, you know, fact check everything. That's what I'm doing while y'all talking, you know. And reality is, TK's presentation is better. You know, I hate you, Travis. You know, you got to go before me. Reality, I don't know. I had my plan on what I wanted to say, but since you went first, it's all good. Reality is, there's no way you could have won that argument, because that's why LB took that route, because you can't really say that. It's all about personal perception, I think, in this situation. But TK presented himself a lot better, and he made a whole bunch of facts. But is it revolution or is it evolution? I don't believe in evolution, but I understand what Travis is saying. One step goes to the next step. However, just based on what I saw, TK wasn't wrong in what he was saying, technically. So I'm rolling with TK for this reason right here. You can get technical about it, evolution and revolution. However, the majority of the people in the world probably didn't go to college. They didn't really research and stuff like that. And if you think of the average consumer, that's not a put down, but that's just the truth. Most people don't get to go to college. When you think of the average consumer, they're going to follow what TK is saying. Technically, it does look like, in which I think it does appear to be, that people are following OnePlus. Even though they weren't the first with pop-up cameras, the parent company is Apple. They weren't, you know what I'm saying? They didn't start. People are following them, it appears, when they shouldn't. They shouldn't be chasing OnePlus in certain arenas. I think TK's argument is legitimate. I'm going with TK.
All right. Well, with that said, let's go ahead and move right on along and get my timer ready for TK.
Is that one round apiece?
Huh?
Is that one round apiece?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Oh.
That's one round apiece. This is a good one. All right.
Travis, I hate you, Travis.
What? Because right, it makes it harder, right?
You over there stealing all my notes, man.
Dude, that's why I asked the question at the beginning, you know?
All right. So we've talked about, has OnePlus lost their way? Is the OnePlus revolutionary? So with OnePlus taking the stance above a $700 price point this year, our third question of the night is going to be this. What makes it a flagship phone? Is it price? Or are there other things about it that make it a flagship phone? So TK, TK, you won. So
you're like, yes.
I want to make sure. I want to make sure the question is understood.
My mic ready so I can drop this. Hold on, let me.
want to make sure the question is understood. I'm asking what makes it a flagship. So you either choose a stance of what doesn't make it a flagship or what does. So with that said, 5 minutes. Go.
I'm going to take the stance of the phone is a flagship. I don't care about price. Price when it comes to a phone, whether it's a flagship or not, is not important to me. When we're talking about what makes a flagship, it's obviously specs, right? People are going to say specs are what's first. Build quality, design, and when we talk about the OnePlus 7 Pro, we're talking about a massive battery in that phone. I think it's the largest that they've ever had on a device. All right. We're talking about the crispiest front-facing camera on the market. That's indisputable. And if LB tries to argue that, he's going to look stupid because he's using it right now. Third, the next thing that makes this thing an absolute flagship device is the OS. Okay. As much as I don't like the company, I think the CEO might be a young jock in disguise. Look, man, Oxygen OS, which is just Android, pared down, sped up, and optimized for their device, is by far the best, fastest. If you're a stock now, if you're not a stock Android person, I can't help you. But I'm just talking about flagship speed wise. There really ain't nothing rocking with OnePlus on Android. I don't care who the manufacturer is or who the phone is. Not even the brand new Asus phones with 12 gigs and 120 hertz display. I don't even think they're rocking with OnePlus in speed. The just insane amount of RAM, which actually isn't needed, but it's there anyway. 12 gigabytes of RAM in a phone makes that thing a flagship phone. The 48 megapixel sensor on the back of that phone gives you some. Now, I'm going to keep it 100. The still camera, in my opinion, is not the best camera phone on the market, but it does reach flagship levels when you can take a look at. I'm on what we would consider a flagship camera right now, and I'm looking kind of grainy. Now, granted, I am kind of pasty. I'm white. I have a melanin deficiency. It happens. It's just a known disease, and but unfortunately, LeBarron doesn't have that complaint. If you look at his camera, it's extra crispy, even on his food stamp network that he's on with T-Mobile. So that right there immediately should go to tell you that they have some of it. I'm going to say it right now. OnePlus has the best front-facing camera on the market, bar none, hands down. Ain't nothing else rocking with it that way when it comes to video. It's just that crispy. Same thing on the rear camera. I mean, if we're looking at spec for spec, if I compare it next to a Samsung, the display is better. It's 90 hertz, first in the market. Crispy, great video, right? Sounds good. We can't really bitch about headphone jacks anymore because even Samsung's taking that away on the Note. So like a headphone jack doesn't make it a flagship phone anymore. But when it comes to battery, specs, ease of use, the OS, the overall design of the phone, how it feels in the hand. You know how it feels in the hand, you know what I'm saying? Feels in the hand. You know what I'm saying? I have to say that the OnePlus 7 Pro is absolutely a flagship, and anybody that argues that this phone is not a flagship, I'm sorry, you're just ignorant.
All right. That's a minute and 45 left on the clock. So, LB, 5 minutes starts now.
All right. Although I'm arguing a subjective point, one of your points was OS. All right. OS doesn't make a device a flagship. So that's automatically out the door because they can have that OS. If OnePlus made 5 phones, they could put that OS on 5 different phones with a different tier of specs, and the top spec phone would be considered the flagship. So please don't use OS as part of your argument. Front-facing camera. Everyone here, well, I know Jay Will has done videos where a $200-300 camera has had a crispy front-facing camera. Matter of fact, Jay Will himself called me up one night and showed me a camera that had a front-facing camera that was just as crispy as this one on a $300 device. It may have been cheaper than a $300 device.
It was actually the same sensor, by the way. If it was the Mi 9T, it's the same sensor as the one you're using right now. So
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the same sensor, but that's not a flagship. So some people would even argue, and I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I lost my, I got a phone call, so I can't. I can barely hear what's being said. So if you're gonna say something, please wait till I'm done talking. As far as the front-facing camera, like I just said, the front-facing camera, you just stated yourself, is on a $200-300 phone. Okay, so that doesn't make it a flagship. There's plenty of people that say that they need wireless charging. Okay, and I know that that Travis has figured a way to turn the phone into wireless charging, but in today's market, where most of the phones have wireless charging and reverse wireless charging and other features, they would not consider this a flagship because it is missing those items. Okay, I'm not going to even use a headphone jack because you have Bluetooth, and like you said, everyone has removed headphone jacks. The 90 hertz screen, okay, you gave me that. You put that in there, but there's plenty of phones on the market that have things that little niches in the market that bring the device up to be talked about. But it doesn't mean that it meets pound for pound for the flagships or what everyone is considering a flagship. It may be an entry flagship phone. I will argue that it's an entry flagship phone from pricing and the capabilities of it, but to go pound for pound with an iPhone or pound for pound with the Samsung devices or pound for pound with the LG devices, no, it does not meet the qualifications of a flagship. Just the camera interface itself, okay, just having a selfie camera that's decent doesn't make it beat the other devices pound for pound. There's a lot of capabilities that this can't even do in 4K. It can't even record in widescreen, even though it has the cameras. So it cannot stand up or be considered as a flagship phone. Okay, it gets forgiving. It gets forgiven because of the pricing. Okay, so it's a phone that gets forgiven because of the pricing. So it's not a flagship phone.
Okay, so let me rebut on this real quick. This is real simple.
Wait, you done? Wait, hold on. He done? Is he done with his 5 minutes?
Yeah. He's done, and he's got. Hey, let me take him down.
All right. Hey, I gotta go out and come in.
Okay, that's fine. I'll bring you back in. But we got 2 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock. Once he comes back in, man. Hopefully,
I like this one right here. I like this.
Yeah. Hopefully, it doesn't take too long. Hopefully. So, other than that, how's everybody doing tonight? Y'all enjoying yourselves?
I likes it. I like
this round.
Excellent. This is a good one, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I tell you what. While we're waiting on him to come back, let's pull up some comments. Tech Rant said, "Ask in the chat. So, would a Pixel be a flagship?"
Exactly. That's like saying the Chevy Impala is not Chevy's flagship. That's their flagship vehicle. Is the top tier when it comes to their vehicle of what you could buy.
Is that what your argument is? Okay, wait, let me ask a question.
No, he back now. Save it, Travis. Save it. Don't give away no answers, Travis. Come on.
It's not an answer. It's a question.
All right,
let's go.
So towards LeBarron, when he said OS doesn't make it a flagship or not, that's like saying so.
LB mute. LB mute yourself.
Their OS clearly.
What?
I said mute yourself. You got that echo going on.
What? All right. So OnePlus saying Oxygen OS, which is a proprietary OS, right? Which is made for their phones, which to be honest, yes, they do have the 7, but they also have the 7 Pro, does not help make that a flagship. That's ignorant. It's like saying Apple with iOS doesn't make it a flagship because of their OS. If they didn't have iOS and it wasn't optimized.
OnePlus come out with 5 more devices and still
but they didn't come out with 5 more devices. They have 2. We're not talking about hypotheticals. We're talking about facts.
The Oxygen OS has been, it's on every device that they make. That's their OS. So whether it's a higher tier or a lower tier, that doesn't make it a flagship. It's the OS that they choose to use.
Your argument is valid. Second, you said it's not a flagship. Let me give you what the definition of a flagship is. Like I was saying before you came in here, the Chevy Impala is the highest tier of a Chevy vehicle you can buy. That's their flagship. No. The Dodge Demon is the highest vehicle, the highest sedan that you can jump into as far as specs. That is the flagship at Chrysler. Okay, that's like saying the OnePlus 7 Pro is the flagship at OnePlus. That is a flagship phone. That's what the definition of flagship is. It's the top tier phone that is available for sale by their company.
So if the question is being asked, are we talking about it for OnePlus or on a market? Because when we talk about OnePlus, we're talking on an overall market. So yes, it may be their flagship, but does their flagship stand on a flagship of a market with Apple, with Samsung, with LG? Don't talk OnePlus within OnePlus. Talk OnePlus with the global market. Don't be convenient for within a brand. Be convenient for a market. We buy phones on a market. We don't buy phones just from OnePlus. If I was just buying Chevys and I want the top of Chevy, yes, I'm going to buy their flagship. But where does it compare in the overall market? You wouldn't compare a Chevy
to kill your own argument. You just said earlier that OnePlus was in the top 5 of the entire smartphone market. So that would mean that your last round, you'd be done.
Shut it down. All right, man. Jay, what you got?
Well, man, thanks for letting me go ahead of Travis because he already got all the answers showed up. That's a smart cat right there. I do. Smart Travis. But man, wow. The question, put the question up there. Put the question up there. Put the original question up there.
Oh, there we go.
What makes it a flagship? Whew. So I was looking for everybody to dig apart the phone. So TK took the stance of it is a flagship. And he pointed out a few things, as far as the phone itself making it a flagship. I do agree with LB. An operating system doesn't make it a flagship because Apple has iOS and that doesn't make it a flagship. However, the OnePlus short answer is the roles have turned here because TK, if you wouldn't have won that other round, you definitely couldn't win this round.
Nope.
LB, there's no way you could have won this argument. Like I said on the last round, it's just a yes or a no. And TK got the jump on you, man. He won that last round, so he got to go first. So the reality is the OnePlus is a flagship. Their slogan is flagship killer.
All right, hold on. LB. I believe that's you with the echo because that's
Echo Gate.
Mute yourself.
Yeah, it was one of those situations where
the flagship echo.
No matter what you say, that the short answer is it is a flagship. That's their top tier phone. That's what OnePlus is throwing in the bag. Whether it's better than the other phones really doesn't matter. It's actually a flagship. But TK, the display on there is Samsung display, so. Yeah. I don't know if it's definitely not better than my Galaxy Note 10 Plus, that's for sure. However, the OnePlus display is a Samsung display. Fact is, you won that round, TK, because you got the jump. There's no way he could have rebutted from that and come back. I know it's hard to be second on that one, but that was a simple yes or a no. And the fact is, it is a flagship. TK got that one. Mm-hmm. Not that you get bad, LG, but there's no way you could have won that. It's impossible.
All right, Travis, what you got?
My vote is to go over questions with Tech King Mike because he makes these true or false questions that are impossible to win. Because, I mean, it's true or false, like Jay Will said. It literally is. It's a layup. It's a layup. What makes it a flagship is almost irrelevant because you just say it's a flagship, the display, done.
Yeah.
So what would have had to have happened is TK would have had to make an argument for certain reasons he thinks it's a flagship, and LB would have had to make other arguments as to why he thinks it makes it a flagship.
Yeah.
And then that would have been a different argument.
Yeah.
They ended up taking both sides, two different sides of the question. It wasn't even the question. Yes. What makes it a flagship, not is it a flagship?
Yes.
And by that, TK won because LB didn't read the question.
There's no way to come back from that. That's why we're going to have a bonus round right in this one. We ain't going to let this one go. We're going to bonus round. I elect Travis to do the next question. Go ahead.
All right, Wallace, what you got?
There's a hot dog, a sandwich. Pick go.
Yeah, that one was definitely a first come, first serve, and
Yeah,
I have to give it to TK on that one.
yeah. It's impossible for LB to battle that, man.
Okay, well,
Just like in the last round with TK, it was impossible for him to win, no matter what he said. You know.
okay, well, man. Travis, what you got then? Since you coming up with the question?
I'm just saying. Do you get no more questions? Let me read over your questions. I can help you out.
All right, hold on.
Like the question itself wasn't bad, but the problem was LB didn't take his side of what makes it a flagship. He just argued that it wasn't.
That it wasn't.
Structured is you have to take the opposite argument. That's
Yeah,
why
but this says what makes it. So you could have said screen and OS, and he could have said price and something else.
Yeah,
that's what the question is. But
y'all weren't technically wrong. It's just that the question.
Right.
The question was a no win for the second person. We can tell that you interpreted it in the last round like that, and that's the way this round is interpreted. So it's kind of a no win. So you know what? I vote to redo to eliminate that round since they both interpreted wrong. Is 1-1. Make this last round official.
Do a championship round. Let's go.
Let's do it, man.
I agree.
Right. Well, so if we do it that way, let's go ahead. Let's go. Let me do my math real quick.
Piper keeps missing the point. Piper, he said he's talking about it's all about the argument. It's not. If they get the question wrong, that's like saying which phone is better, the Galaxy Note 9 or Galaxy Note 10. Go. And then TK goes, I love me some hot dogs. And LB goes, I love some hamburgers. That's not the question.
Yeah, that's what it is.
If he likes hot dogs better, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. I do like hot dogs better. It's not the right question. That's the point.
That's correct.
If they get the question right, then we judge on that. But if they don't get the question right,
and neither one of them got it wrong. It's just a misinterpretation of basically.
100%.
But if you went first on that round, just like last round, you know,
yeah, you probably gonna win.
You lost if you go second if you interpret it that way because the other person takes the other stance. But you know,
okay,
there's some neutral questions out there like, you know, how do you help a person get started on YouTube, or what do you tell a person who's using how to convert from a smartphone to a DSLR to manage their channel? You know, anything, man. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, this normally goes from normally goes from 9 to 11, but we're past that, so we're gonna keep it going. We actually have 2 more rounds. So we got two more.
We got one more round.
One more round.
Okay.
Yeah, one more.
All right. Let me see. I'm gonna read through these 3 questions I got here, and I tell you what. Y'all both mentioned this a couple of times in y'all argument, so this will be the championship round. I think this should be a good one for everybody. TK, you won that one technically, and LB, you lost it. So let's see who gets this one. Is Oxygen OS better than stock Android?
See, this is not fair for LeBarron because
I think you should do something that steps away from OnePlus. Make them think, man. Make them work for it. That's too easy.
No, Wallace dropped out. All right.
Wallace is like, I want no part of this this execution that's about to happen. Let me get out of here.
Okay, well, all right. Let me take that out.
Hey, am I still echoing?
Nah,
not right now. No,
you're not. You don't happen to be on that OnePlus 7 Pro, are you?
I am.
Okay. All my arguments for that phone are invalid. What's the question going to be, Mike?
Give me a second.
I mean, you can literally go Android versus iOS. It's like the easiest, biggest battle.
All right, well then bump it. Android versus
definitive
iOS.
Sides. You know which one is better. I mean, that right
that's
there is a
one.
battle. Be done
I
with
hate you, Travis. I hate you.
You can't hate them. That's what we're doing. Android.
I love this question. I love this. This will work.
I hate you, bro. I mean, I was gonna get you some popcorn.
All right, Android versus iOS. Go TK.
All right, let me get a coin real quick so I can flip which side I pick. Let's see. This will work. All right. So, Android versus iOS. Damn. I could kill you on either point. But I have to kind of play to the judges. So, I got to say Android is better than iOS. And let me tell you why. Yo, look at Jay.
Dirty buzzer.
Let me explain why. I'm gonna present my argument. yes, iOS has their ecosystem and everything is tied in, but you're restricted. I personally like freedom. I don't like being locked down. So as a person that likes freedom and likes to be able to do whatever I want to do, I have to say that Android as an operating system is better than iOS. You get more choices, more variety. There's cheaper entry level phones with the operating system that people can actually afford. Now, why iOS does now have food stamp phones available, you can pick them up in Walmart, Best Buy, and other places for the low. That's not a phone that you kind of want to rock out because then it looks like you got the food stamp phone. Some food stamp phones on Android look like flagship phones, and them things is hot. All right. When you got a phone like the Pixel 3a or the 3a XL crushing iPhones in day-to-day usage, in my opinion, camera-wise, I mean, I think Google's advertisement of taking the picture of the chick on the roller skates in the dark with a $399 Pixel 3a versus a $1,000 iPhone XS, that kind of pretty much ended the argument between iOS and Android. If it comes to ease of use, total customization, and I'm not talking about rooting or any of that other crap on Android or jailbreaking on iOS. I'm talking about just how they come out of the box. Android is more customizable. You have way more choices. The entry-level prices of their phones, even at the flagship tiers, are cheaper than iPhones. Okay. Now I know the Note is getting close to, iPhone territory as far as price-wise. But when we're looking at phones like you can get a OnePlus and you're going to have a better screen, in my opinion, a better camera, a faster OS with Oxygen OS, since we were talking about OnePlus earlier, or you can get a Pixel for $399, and that Pixel is going to run circles for the price around a phone that any phone you're going to buy at iOS. Let's say, what is it? The 10R is their budget phone now. That's $750. Do I want to spend $400 and get a flagship experience and have a OS that gets updated consistently, or do I want to spend $750 with a 720p screen? Basically a lesser display. I'm locked into the operating system of iOS. I can't do anything else with it. I have to use their app store. I have to use their services. Nah, this is a no-brainer. I'm not saying that iOS doesn't have benefits. It does. Every OS does. But if it comes to choice, and this is my personal choice is Android is better than iOS. I use both OSs. I'm bitextual. I think that's what they call it. Don't anybody misinterpret that and say something else in the chat that's not funny. But I just have to say, Android, in my opinion, day-to-day use, customization, value as far as price on any phone that you purchase in the Android ecosystem, features that you can get, customization, availability. Like you can go to Walmart and just go pick one up now for a couple $100 and you have a phone that you can get by with. In my opinion, Android is better than iOS.
He froze as soon as he got ready to drop.
That's cold. He froze as he's dropping the mic, son. That's amazing. Using the force.
All right. Wow. All right. So he left 1 minute and 30 on the clock. So
dang, that felt like 10 minutes. Dang.
Yeah. All right, LB, you got 5 minutes. Go. Oh, hold on. Yeah,
there you go.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Before you hit the clock, am I going before he gets here? He doesn't need to hear what I say.
I don't know what happened to him. So just.
He thought he was about to drop that mic, but his iPhone froze.
Okay, all right, that's everybody. He came back.
There you go. Your Android froze.
Actually, it was the Surface. I dropped the mic on it.
What the heck?
I dropped the mic on the Surface, and it was like doo 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 doo. I was like,
it was cool. Though. You wait till you see it. It's got your hand right before you dropped it, dude. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was epic. Somebody screenshotted that. I know they did.
Oh man.
All right. Go ahead.
I want to see LeBarron argue for iOS.
Dirty buzz. All right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I picked Android just so I could hear you argue iOS.
We ready? Are we ready? I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead. Start.
All right. iOS, is it better than Android? I will argue first for simplicity. That's my first stance. Simplicity. If I am a technical consultant and I have 4 old people sitting in front of me, neither one of them is going to hand an Android device. I'm going to give them something that simply works. That's basic. They don't have to figure out an app drawer. They don't have to figure out what's happening in the background. It just works. It works one way, okay? I can give them 4 generations of iPhones, and they will all work the same way, okay? I can give them the 8, I can give them the 7, I can give them the 10, the 10X Max, and I can give them the 11. And guess what? Everyone is going to know how to work them, okay? Android is not the same way. Android, depending if it comes from LG, OnePlus, Samsung, whoever it's coming from, they're going to have a learning curve. So simply for simplicity alone, okay, iOS is better. All right. Not only that, as everyone always says, updates. Okay. All the updates come to iOS at the same time. All right. I know you will argue that no one cares about updates, no one knows about updates or whatever, but when there's a major update, it will go across all iOS devices. Fragmentation, okay, plays a part in the first 2, all right? You don't have the fragmentation that you have in iOS. So iOS would be better. iOS is more efficient, okay? iOS is better. You have the ecosystem. Lo and behold, you don't argue against the ecosystem. iOS plays a part in the ecosystem, okay? With AirDrop, everything that you can do functionality-wise with the iPad, which the iPad was on iOS, all right? You have that ecosystem. What else? I'm sorry. What else? I said simplicity. Okay, I said that the learning curve, and I'll hold it right there.
You gonna hold this L?
All right, y'all got 4 minutes between the 2. Go ahead on and go.
All right, you said we got 4 minutes.
Yep, 4 minutes.
All right.
You lost your argument when you brought up 4 old people. There's not 4 old people in the chat right now. All right, let's just keep it real. We brought up on what operating system or what is better.
If I was a consultant and there was 4 old people, I would hand them an iOS device before I would hand them 4 different Android devices. Because that should be
considered abuse. That'd be like hurting old people in an old folks home. That's not cool.
Wow.
Okay, jokes aside, what are you making with your point?
That's my point. That's evil. Why would you give 4 old people
Hey, Mike, can I see
iPhones?
when I'm talking to them? I gotta make sure I can see the
Oh
nonsense.
yeah, my bad. Hey, yeah, TK, pull the mic away just a little bit.
Oh, you know what it is? Because I plugged the phone into the LG V50, and it, that quad DAC, which happens to be an Android, just happens to make the audio sound that much louder. You can't do that. You can't do that on an iPhone. It don't have a headphone jack. I'm just saying. I mean, they had courage. They took away the headphone jack. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
That has nothing to do with, you're talking hardware. We're talking OS.
I'm talking about the OS. There's no headphone jack available on iOS.
I need you to stay focused on the OS, not the hardware.
I'm focused right here. I made my point. Android is better than iOS for the points that I've already raised. You have not diffused any of the points I raised outside of bringing up 4 old people at a geriatrics home that you want to give iPhone SEs to.
Pure simplicity from the ages of 5 years old to 70 years old. iOS is going to be the simpler device for anyone to use.
That's a false argument. That depends on the person that's using it.
Argument if I hand you 5 different Android devices, they're going to operate 5 different ways. If I hand you 5,
not true.
If I hand you 5 different Apple devices, they're all going to work the same way.
Not true, because if you hand me 5 different Apple devices, some have Face ID, some have Touch ID, some of them have AMOLED displays, some of them have LCD displays. So they all do different things. They're not all exactly the same, but keep digging yourself a hole.
of the OS. Android and
the OS is different. The OS, you're wrong. The OS is different by hardware. If it has a home button,
how is the overall OS different? Okay, when you
by hardware.
Okay, when you update on iOS, okay, everyone gets gestures, right?
No. You see, you don't know about iOS. This is why you automatically lose, and I feel bad for you.
So the iPhone 8. What phones are on the market now? The 8, the 10. You don't even
know what iPhones are available, and you're arguing for iPhones. Just hold this L. Just hold it. Just admit it. Just hold it. Just hold this L.
They don't all have gestures.
What do you mean they don't have? No, they don't all have gestures. The only ones that have gestures are the 10, the 10R, the 10S, the 10S Max, and the new iPhone 11s that are coming out. The other iPhones had a home button. They had Touch ID. The new iPhones have Face ID. This is why I said you're arguing for something you know nothing about.
Overall OS operates the same way. You download apps, you put them on a screen, correct?
Right, and when you go to authenticate to download said app, you either have to use your face on some phones or your finger on others.
Okay.
So that's not the same.
Whereas if you have an LG, if you have a Samsung, if you have a Mi 9, you have there's going to be learning curves to the way those OSs operate.
There's learning curves to iOS, but anyways, it's irrelevant. Hold this L.
All right. So before we begin, I want to address something real quick. For everybody in the chat asking why LB had to argue for an OS he doesn't like, it's the same reason TK had to argue for a company he doesn't like. That's the purpose of a debate. You're not supposed to be able to choose what you want to do. Now, I'm
not arguing that. No.
I'm just making sure that everybody in the chat understands that, because some people in the chat, ask questions, and I'm just making sure that they understand that if TK went first, which he did, he chose Android. Therefore, LeBarron had to choose iOS. That's the plain and simple short of it. So,
and I only picked Android because I literally wanted to see him argue iOS.
All right, Travis.
Which is foul. Yeah. Travis, so I got some thoughts on this. I'm not going to go into a whole diatribe here, but I will say that there were a tremendous amount of points left out on the iOS Pro side. So what I hope to see is someone come up, make arguments, another person come up and debunk those arguments so that they're both on even ground, and then go into the last to try to see what happens. That's what I'm hoping for each time. That didn't happen. And I think it comes from LB not knowing iOS as much as he would need to be able to argue it. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it just seems to be what it is. Like, I mean, one of the arguments he said was, is iOS is better. Like, that was the argument. I'm like, okay, well, that's what we're trying to figure out. And then you could tell he just wasn't comfortable with the argument. And I feel for you, LB, because that's definitely not your strong point. But you got to be well-rounded to be a champion up in his joint. So you got to understand, not just saying that. I felt like you were hitting the click words, like the ecosystem, but you don't know what that even means. Like, I can tell you what it means, but you were like, it's ecosystem, because you hear it. And it just didn't feel authentic, which I know it wasn't, because you're an Android guy, and I appreciate that, but you got to be well-rounded. I got to give it to TK.
All right. Mr. J.
It's a draw. I can't pick either one of them. Draw, okay.
Wallace, what you got?
The thing is, I was seeing where LB was coming from, because I work with dudes and iOS. They love it. But like, Android is complicated. But from the tech side, from me, I feel what TK is kind of saying. So this one is kind of hard. I'm gonna have to give it a draw. But I do see where LB was trying to come from. It's just
like my Scooby-Doo on. No, I didn't know it was gonna be another draw. Wow. Yeah.
Because this one was very hard, because it's like, I see where LB is coming from, but I understand where TK is coming from. So it's just, right now for me, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jesus.
That's a majority draw on that round. So what was it before that? Was it another draw? Is it a draw again?
Throw it to the chat. Let the chat decide.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Do that final judge. Chat. Who you got, TK or the man about championship popcorn?
Damn.
I'm actually thinking we should go with Tech Rant suggestion. I was about to say I'll do that. Shorten round. What is the best flagship phone on the market? I like it.
True that. True that. That's
So
a
I'll
good
tell you
one.
what. That's what we're gonna do. This is the final round. You cannot say draw. Cannot say draw. This is the final. TK left. TK said he was leaving before they could say.
He's like, I got to draw him out. I'm out, fool.
I think if the problem with asking the chat is majority Android.
Right.
They're gonna use their personal feelings, which they should. They're supposed to go with what they like, which the majority of people in this room is probably Android. But you know,
now Lethal Emperor is saying same argument, switch sides.
No, that doesn't work because it's got to be. You have to pick a neutral topic that both of them are knowledgeable on. So that's question, right. What's the name is Gary put up there? What's the best phone? It's all opinion based, but you know, it's going to be better than having to pick a side. You got to get a subject that they both can give their input on, where there's one isn't wrong or right from the beginning. Like it can't be a yes or a no. You know, this needs to be an opening question. It can't just be one that shuts off, because the majority rules. If you ask the chat, see, look, they say TK won because the majority of these people are probably Pixel users or Samsung users, so they're gonna want they're gonna roll with Android. But
well, the thing is, there he is, he's back. So yeah. Because I was gonna say, because actually, based off of the numbers, we had one round LB won, one round TK won. And if we're going to go off of 2 draws and a 1, actually means TK won. So,
okay. Your math has been suspect in the past, so I need you to break it down. I need you to show your work. Show your work, please.
Okay. I would think that the 2 draws take that whole round out, and they didn't they both get a round apiece? It was tied, right?
Yeah. So it's 3. So 3 votes for each person. So a round apiece technically. And then you and Wallace said draw. So that's no points to anybody, but Travis said 1. He said TK, so that would technically make it 4-3.
Oh, okay. I see how you're doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
Your rules, hey.
Which, of course, y'all forgive me. We are still fine tuning stuff.
No, you're not wrong. I just was trying to figure out how you was doing the point system.
So so based off of that, there is no need for another round because TK got it. Unfortunately, though. With the question being the way it was, he did set you up for the fall, LB. He really did.
Oh, which one? That was some. I know that was some sucker shit. I should apologize for that. But I had to.
Hey, I would have did the game if the shoe was on the other foot.
My point is you should be knowledgeable enough about both if you're a tech champion to be able to argue both sides. I think I could have argued iOS because there's a lot of good things about iOS, and that you just didn't do them because I think you're just not aware of them, which I get. But you got to be aware.
There are a ton of things that are better on iOS than Android by a long shot. 100%. There are like millions of them. Android has a lot of growing up. I'm an Android guy, but I'll admit Android has a lot of growing up to do, man. I mean, there may have been. There's 1.5 billion Android phones sold in 2018, and there was only 217 million iPhones sold. But to me, iOS still wins because there's less iPhones. Think about that. They're only selling a handful of iPhones, and there's only 217 million of them sold in 2018, and there's 1.5 billion Android phones sold. But how many of those Android phones cost more than $100? You see what I'm saying? So who's really winning?
Well, Travis, you decided it. Your 1 vote. LB.
Stand by it. I stand by it.
Travis, I'm gonna send you that PayPal after the chat, so I really appreciate that.
Why don't you just send me some popcorn? Because this motherfucker over here can't do that. So why don't you send me some popcorn?
Wow. I got 50, 60 other people want popcorn.
I'm messing with you, LB. I'm messing with you.
So that's
no contest. What are we doing? Is that a win? What are we talking about?
Yeah, the chat said TK got that one.
Yeah,
and then you gave it to TK, so TK won 4-3.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
I gotta do it.
So I appreciate that. So does that mean I got to punish Don from Front Page Tech next week?
Well,
I know between his field and my bag, we could really be going in on this one.
Well, here's the thing: we won't have another fight for a couple of weeks. We're not doing this every Saturday because this is an event. So So this is going to be more of like a once a month, maybe twice a month if it's
pay-per-view
lined up. But this is a big event. So, and I don't have the time or the energy to put it on every weekend, just being completely honest. So it's going to be a couple weeks before the next fight. Now, John called out LB. And the thing about this arena is you ain't got to be a champ to step in it. So John called out LB. So we'll see. But since you are the champ, if we're going to go by the rules, John, if you're watching, which I saw Front Page Tech in there, that's your opponent. So
and LB against Tech Rant rematch, right? We still got to have that.
Yeah, we still got.
That's all about.
Yeah, so we still got quite a few matches coming up.
Yep.
But Jay Mills said Tech King Mike should be charging for that fight. Well, if
That's
you got
right, unlisted live stream, you pay 99 cents to get the link, son.
well, if you got to help me
Patreon only,
subs, then you know.
Hey, if we can get him to 1,000+ subs, then he can do some type of Patreon or something.
well, you know, John could probably help him with that. He could probably feature him as a creator over there on Front Page Tech. I'm not throwing no shade or nothing. I mean, he can do that.
Well,
that's the thing, you know.
So it ain't happening. And T still out for blood. Jay. He said post baby. Me
That's
and
right. Post baby. So in about 18 years, man, we're gonna see that fight. I can't wait.
Man, I'd be like 68 years old, man. What the heck?
Jay will be retired. He's like, I'm done with that YouTube game, son.
Man.
Okay, so with that said, I appreciate everybody for watching. The 75 people in here right now. I appreciate every single one of you guys for stopping through and coming by.
Encore. It's only 10:30, man. Encore.
It's 11:30 here. So it's 11:30 here. So to Tech Rant, Vrsatile, I appreciate you guys for stepping in. Vrsatile, you came in, you did your thing. You know how it goes now. So come back to fight another day. The invitation is always there. And, let's
TK
see.
trying to start up RedTube down there. You better shut him off. Man.
No, I'm just saying, you know, I'm celebrating now. I'm about to get my hashtag 8 hours in. So you know, this is celebration time at this point. You know, it is what it is.
Oh, now that would be a good one. Tech Rant said Gadget versus Catwoman.
Oh,
right.
oh no, that's foul though.
Yeah. All right.
Then they gotta go work together afterwards.
To my judges, I appreciate you guys. Make sure you follow the Titan of Tech on Twitter. Make sure you're subscribed to Mr. J. Will, Travis MCP, and TK, aka Total Tech. Make sure you're subscribed to their other channels. J. Will has another channel called 2019 Silver 300S. TK has TK's Garage. Make sure you subscribe to both of them. LB and Tech are the Twitter warriors, so make sure you go follow them on Twitter. Get them analytics up for them. Y'all know who I am. I am the Don King of Tech. I appreciate you for coming by, and I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. Thank you guys, everybody. I appreciate it.